at 5:40. So, we don't need, council, since we're down to 15 minutes, can we just, not do the parking lot tonight, because that does take some discussion on it, and we need to really help Pam with her work session. If that's okay, we'll do another work session the first of, at our next council meeting on that one.
Sure.
Is that okay with
Works for
everyone?
me.
Okay. Kim, how on earth do you keep 6 pages worth of activities going? I mean, I don't understand it. So in January.
Pieces,
I
and
know,
I do
I
things
know.
in pieces and staff actually helps me, and I've got some great consultants that are helping.
What
Helping
I
keep me on
want
track.
is what Kim thinks of the tasks that she can get off her list. I mean, I can say, here's my priorities and stuff, but unless Kim has somebody to,
Delegate.
delegate to,
Yes.
is willing to delegate to, there's nothing I can say that will make any of this better. So that's why, that's what I want to know.
So let me just, I don't know if this is gonna help at all. We are a very busy city. We're very, I like to say, and I used to say this about Millersburg, but that's nothing, this is nothing compared. We are a small but mighty city, meaning that we're doing a lot of work with such a small staff. But we're getting things done, things are happening, I'm not burnt out yet. These feel like a lot of this stuff is important. There are times though that things get put on my plate that are they really that important, that we should spend a lot of staff time, my time, legal time, all of that. That's where the direction is more needed, because remember we talked before about everybody's specific, what we kind of call pet projects. Knowing the parameters of what those look like, knowing, does the council support moving forward? Does the council support putting staff time on it? Does it support putting legal time on it? All of this stuff, it just takes time. And then during the budget season, I asked, like for example, last year, I said, give me your stuff ahead of time, but I got a lot of things dumped on me again at the last moment. It's that preparation and working on the special projects that we need. I don't want to say I need more staff, because I don't think I do. I think that we're all running and doing the best as we can, and the staff works really hard. I have already started to put things over, and I will tell you that having a chat GPT and getting exposed to that has saved me a lot of time. When I want a form created, I give it parameters, it spits me out a form, I just format it and maybe tweak it a little bit. So that is a lot of help. Staff I think I told a few counselors, but we're keeping high, because she's wonderful with our customers and our residents, she's awesome. And she does the administrative stuff really well, it's just the billing, and we've had honest discussions about it. What we're kind of doing is looking at restructuring the office right now, having Carla get more of the administrative stuff off her plate, like she filing and stuff like that, and like, you are too valuable and I need you too much for you to do filing. So getting things like that. So Gina is stepping up and doing a lot more work for me. She's even started dipping her toes in ChatGPT to help me with doing some of the research. Jenny is also doing the same thing, and Jenny's now getting to the point where she feels like she's actually able to dive into things that she hadn't been able to do before. So we are, as a team, working on this. They understand, they know my workload, they know my visits, they see it. We're doing the best we can. I think it's just a matter of maybe what our discussions when we have a new project or a new idea, maybe I've said before, work sessions, I know it's another meeting, but work sessions help me bring things to you, to get initial feedback, initial review, to have you take a look at drafts before I do a lot of work you may not like anyway.
So in January, we set the accounting and audits as our main goal, and that's got to continue.
Oh,
And
yeah,
how-
absolutely.
How are we doing on that?
I'm almost finished, I'm down to where I'm looking up the last report that I can create that I can put together. The rest of it, I told Tara, her and I are constant talk, she's talking to me about things, we're talking about the assets. So we're working on it, but this initial one would be a lot of setting the stage to make the other ones go smooth once I know her style, what she wants. But I think that I'll probably have, I'm not gonna say next week or this week, but by next week, I think I'll be able to say, okay, I've done all I can. But I'm stubborn and I don't really wanna give it up because I don't really want us to have a big fighting even though I wasn't here. I just wanna try to get us to that, we don't have, stuff just stubborn that way.
So if we're taking stuff off of Carla's plate, the filing and that kind of stuff, does it make sense that Carla can be delegated to do, like you attend about 50 bazillion meetings. Can Carla take over the harbor, for example,
She does the harbor,
entirely?
she does the harbor,
And just
except
reports,
she
to
does
you
it all.
when there's an issue?
Yeah, but I do attend, and there's reasons for that, because of the things that are going on with the harbor and some of the oversight and the stuff we've been working with.
Sure.
But she attends the meetings, she writes the notes, she drafts the notes, she schedules it, same thing for planning. And I will only go to planning commission meetings if there's something on it I really need to, feel like I need to be a part of.
Okay, and
Jean has already taken parks.
Okay.
She's probably gonna take over the emergency preparedness.
Okay.
Which will leave me, energy's not much
City
going on right
council
now.
energy.
Salmon, she's taking that one.
So the project that we approved for the funding for agendas and all of that kind of stuff, are you doing that project or is that?
We're working on that together. We do have to touch base, me, Gina, and Carla, because it's really a design for them. We haven't sat down to actually look at the formats, although Gina did a lot of work. I need to get them sent off to the project administrator. We're working on it together. Each of us is doing different pieces.
Okay.
But I'm beginning to put a lot more of that on your plates because we're finally overall, I know it doesn't look like from my list, but we're finally overall, we have a bit more breathing, where we're not feeling like we're constantly running to catch up. Although we still have the issue of every time we turn over a rock, we find something that we didn't realize. But that's even getting less. So, and they're small. So we're really, it's a really great team in that admin office right now. I'm very happy. We're always doing a good job.
What's your top priority right now?
Mine is finishing the reconciliations and that system, but because that will be the same way, they stuck on reconciliation. But audits is number one, reconciliations, and then frankly, I'm trying to get money from the city to do the projects we need to do. And we got 2 grants this week, so maybe you guys, and then you can tell me if you don't consider me getting these grants for the projects we're gonna do anyway, is a good thing, but a lot of the support we have right now is free because of the technical assistance grants and the support I've gotten.
I'd like to see a
So-
total dollar.
Oh, I can get you that.
We have the
Grant writers, right?
Yeah,
They are helping too, but some of these grants I'm
Yeah.
getting on my own.
and grant administration is a huge task. I mean, you get them, but that's not the end. of the
We
road.
haven't gotten a big one yet that's gonna be burdensome. One of the two we got today is the housing one from APO. And Creed's gonna manage that to some extent with my oversight, he's done that before. A lot of it is also, we have AKS. Now, we can have the grant admit writers, maybe we can talk about this at the next budget season. We can have them do some grant administration if that's what we wanna do.
I would definitely like to see that.
But just so you know, so far I'm keeping up on it. We have not gotten one of those equal federal grants where the requirements are monstrous.
Yeah.
Everything we've been doing, the CREC grant, all the grants, very easy.
So, yeah, I still think this is so burdensome to list because you're not able to delegate to a lot of this stuff. And, that actually really is worrisome to me because, this is a, $80, maybe hours a week sort of list.
This is a burnout.
Burnout,
Yeah.
and I know you like keeping, you know, your hands and everything, but I don't think that is necessarily how this is the best. And if there's a way of making you feel comfortable delegating and then still have oversight, that actually saves time versus I should have done it the first time, you know, it might have been helpful. So, but the other thing that's not on here is, so my priority when I look at this list is, okay, what is gonna generate revenue? You know, what is gonna generate, you know, like say technical assistance grants or other things? And, getting the audit and, budget and stuff. I mean, that's like top priority, and that, one of those things is the, if we get a ballot, be able to do revolving loans and stuff like that. That's not on here at all, and I know we have to
The
take-
charter update's on there. It's in there. The charter update, it's on one of the code things, I think, but the charter update's in there for the ballot, for the debt.
Okay,
I did put it in there.
but that could be, you know, until we take over it, you know, gathering information and stuff, that could be.
Well, I will actually, a city attorney will do a lot of that. You know, the recommendation is they create the title and they craft the language, so, but, you know, I need to look at the deadlines, but that's probably something we'll have to start talking about sooner rather than later if we still want to go for it.
And the project list is 7G is what the project list is, and there's just so much stuff on that list
I know.
that, you know, I think we need to help in some way figure out what we can do to help with this list, because there's 27 items on that list.
Yeah.
And that's just one list. And there's a lot of big important things, the charter amendment is on there. You know, you've got, I think the wastewater, rate study is in here somewhere. I mean, all of
That's
this,
one of the.
Glenhaven Beach has to be on here somewhere.
The what one?
That's level E, or number E, Glenhaven Beach.
Yep, Glenhaven's on
I mean,
there.
all of that, it's, I'm overwhelmed by the list, just looking at it, I can't imagine having to maintain it every day. So, I don't know what the answer is, other than we need to figure out how we can delegate some of this.
I
stuff.
am working on that. I will tell you that I've been very stubborn about keeping some of this stuff, mostly because I've been very protective of the staff's work level and knowing what they're dealing with and what they have had. So we are going to get there. We are going to start moving forward. Jenny, after the first of the year, will be doing payroll taxes. She will be, I'm gonna give her Glenhaven. So as far as doing the monthly reporting, so we're working on a plan. At some point, I will bring back to the council a reworked job descriptions for the front office staff.
And what about another employee to be like your second hand person?
Well, I kind of want Carla to be my second-hand person and another person to handle, but Carla, if I take away harbor and planning from her, she'll probably quit, and I don't think I can do that. Because I don't want her to quit, but that's why I'm trying to.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I do know that. Because she loves to work on the harbor and the planning, that's her thing. But we're working on getting that admin stuff out of there, so I can start making her, she's already does so much, but making her more of my right-hand person, if you will, because she really is.
So, could I suggest that we as counselors actually take this list and look at it and look for things that we should put line items through? Like, you know what, this is just not important.
Right.
And maybe we can start by whittling the list down and say, you know what, let's put this on the back burner. This isn't as important as some of the other stuff, and we'll all come up with our own list. And then we can bring them together, decide, you know, if half of us or more have the same items on our list, then maybe we reprioritize those. Is that-
Part of that discussion might have to be me saying this is why it really should be.
No, sure, absolutely, yeah.
We have like you just alluded to, prioritize each one, put a number 1, 2, 3, do the ones, do the twos, launch the threes, right? Is that easy enough?
Similar idea.
Would you like me to put that document in a quick and easy table that you can check
No.
off? I promise Arthur could do it like that.
If it's a spreadsheet, I love it.
But seriously, he could I would upload that, and he would put that into a spreadsheet that you could check off.
That might be easier.
Uh-huh,
Let's do that.
that's Arthur, I'm
So
telling you.
one other question, so I'm wondering if all or Brady and Paul could take on some more of these,
Code enforcement.
well, code enforcement, but the harder, you know, these, programs. I know you like to have oversight, but is there something that they could, you know, with these projects, you know, deal more
Well,
with
they
like the
deal
Williams
with-
streets?
Right, the Williams, they feel like, for example, we have our consulting done today, and the guys met with them, so they do the, on-site stuff. But there's a lot of the coordination, they're out in the field, they're not getting the emails, Carla and I are getting the emails, Carla and I are reacting and talking to the consultants, we're working with our city engineer. The guys are in the fields, they're not sitting at the desk getting their emails. But, like today, I was like, you guys need to be ready, because they're gonna be here in turn, it was just, anyway, I said, you need to go meet them, and they did, so they do a lot of on the ground stuff.
Okay, well, you'll send us a spreadsheet then.
Yes, I will have Arthur, promise you, it would
Can
make
we
sense.
schedule another work session and go
Yes.
through the spreadsheet?
Yes.
And let's do homes at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. Okay, we will adjourn the session.
Everybody who is online, we will go, silent for a few minute break and then start the regular meeting, so please stand by.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to our October 7th City of Depoe meeting. It is 6:03. Kim, would you call the roll?
Masella,
Here,
Watson. Here. Rec. Here. Sovereign. Here. Short. Here. Poland. Here. Hand.
Here.
You have one.
Thank you. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda this evening?
I have a question, but that we accept the consent agenda
Oh, okay. As submitted?
as submitted.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda as submitted. Is there a discussion on the motion?
I had a quick question,
Okay.
Danny Price Construction. It says water repair on Collins Street. Didn't we just spend a fortune on Collins Street? Is that like a separate?
That was
It's
Rocky Creek. It should have said Rocky Creek.
Okay, I just wondered if we were doing work that.
No, it's, the storage lot is off of Collins,
Yeah,
so it happened there. It was a pretty big break. Huge.
Any reason?
Just, what do you think?
Old age?
Well,
just like-
Yeah, just someone pipe.
Let me
It's
see that we're
happened.
still hiring Danny though.
Oh, yeah, he's, when we need excavating, he's awesome. Cool.
And then the other question I had was on the AKS, which that's usually Bill's question. It's a lot.
I probably had it.
And there's a lot of things on there that I'm wondering, I know we cross-charge things, like if our engineer people do work on somebody's project in home, subdivision, whatever, then we bill them for that, or we're doing that.
Yes, in fact, I gave Carla a bunch. We only bill when the project's closed.
When it's closed.
So I gave her she had 6 things that closed within the last few months. But actually, it's been a little bit before it closed, including the hills and a couple other things. So when something closes, she bills them, so I give her all those things.
Is that a figure we could see?
When she gets the documents done, I'll let you know how much it ends up being.
Awesome.
So she does the bill and then applies whatever deposit they make, and then the bill shows whatever, either we give them money back, or, they pay us. Now, we do know a couple of them that, I think another one's about to close, they're gonna be big. So because the plan is pretty high, so.
I thought so, I just wanted to.
So like the Depot Bay Hills, which is open forever.
Well,
How do we do
we're
those?
billing after phases.
Okay, perfect.
So in fact, or when they do like a particular, like if they're doing a geo for a lot, depending on what they're doing, if it's a separate item, they're billing.
Does that include, do we bill staff time too besides anything else?
Well, we found out that we don't have prior planners, we're actually tracking the time. Our new planner is, he's providing that, but I do want to, one of the things I really want to do is update the land use fees. To do more like we charge one rate for something, and within it comes a certain amount of staff time, a certain amount of attorney time, engineer time, and then anything above and over that. It eliminates this really cumbersome tracking that we're all doing now. But he is tracking, and we will start doing this time as well.
Yeah, because it's sort of outrageous how much is going out that we're paying and not getting anything reimbursed from the development.
So they were a little behind in doing that, but she's been working on it, and in fact, she's got a lot of those right now.
Because the engineering, that's engineering that the engineers do to look over the plans, that's also not being billed to the developers? Or is it?
If it's part of a land use thing, it does, it's called plan review, so it would be considered part of that.
So the
Now-
planner's time has not been, but the engineer's time for land?
Yes, when they've had a project, but some of these projects we've had him do a lot of work on, they take a long time to finish. But now she's watching them, and now that we have some clothes. Because I keep saying, where are we gonna go, where are we gonna bill, so we're gonna bill.
The side of this equation that we don't see is the revenue coming in. We see the revenue going out, we just don't
True,
see the revenue
true.
coming in, so we don't know when that occurs.
When I give you the reconciliation, the monthly revenue, you can see it eliminating these fees. where we're at.
Perfect. I have one question.
Yes.
There are 14 cell phone reimbursements on this invoice, which is about $1,100. We also have a $336 Verizon bill that gets reimbursed for $1,400 a month in cellular fees. I think we need to look at that as an expense the city's taking and look at going to a blanket plan with municipality.
Well, let me just clarify, that's not 14, that 1,100, that for cell phone fees is not a monthly, it's quarterly. Now Verizon is the plants, the list stations,
It's the
that sort of
telemetry.
thing, the telemetry, that's a very different thing. The cell phones are only billed once a quarter.
It's just $17,000 that could be.
It's very expensive, the phones. Now, we just actually got a reach out today from Spectrum, who has this voice over IP, that we might be looking at to see if we can use that at some of our things. I just got the notice today, so Jenny's gonna work on that. That might be an option. It's cheaper, to maybe save us some money, so we're looking at all this. There's a few things that I'm keeping an eye on as they see that.
And is this part of the, like, when we renegotiate the franchise agreements with Spectrum and Charter, or something, company, or what?
We will always be able to see, part of what we talked about to get with this down is we'll need to have somebody that is expert in this because they know the rules about what we can and cannot do because the legislator has tried their hands in some things. So you can probably, when it's time to talk to them about it, find out what our ability is.
And I just wanted to also point out that the AKS bill did have Cook Avenue on it that should be charged against that abatement
Right.
process,
Yes,
so.
yes.
Any other discussion? Oh, Vince, do you want to get a chair over here? Are you okay? Okay. He's
Mayor, can I have just one more clarification?
one more.
The sheriff's bill, I thought we were paying that annual. And then, this $79,000, it says Q1, but didn't we start the contract, so this would be Q2, or is it paid in arrears?
When does the contract start? It's not the same as our fiscal.
I thought it started in March.
For the first, one share for the second?
Well, I think
For both of them.
it's for both now.
It's for both of them.
Anyway, I
let
just
me
wanted
clarify
clarification
that.
on the 79,000 and it says Q1, and I thought for some reason we were paying it annually.
Okay, I will email Nick and then get back to you on that.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We have no guest presentations. We'll go on to our commission and committee reports. Joyce, do you want to do emergency planning?
Good? Just go, hold it for a minute.
Oh, it's already on, I turned it on screen.
That's fine, thank you. Young, my little weak voice, it's good to have. So, emergency preparedness has been busy with our Ask the Expert event coming up on Saturday. And, it's changing a bit because people who said they didn't want to table now want to table. People that didn't want to talk now want to talk. So it's kind of a flowing type of thing. I'm trying to keep up with it. But we have quite a few speakers, they're really good speakers. We have the Red Cross CERT, we have an RN coming, we have an attorney. He's chosen not to speak, but he'll have a table. We have an insurance person. We have an expert in animals, pets and things like that that's going to talk. We will once again be reintroducing our yellow emergency barrels, see if there's a interest in that. We're not bringing in the whole barrel, but we're gonna have a poster about it. And so, we're real excited about it. We think it'll be a good thing. And I wanted to make sure that anyone I can think of knows about the change in venue. It's not at the community center. But it's, the Neighbors for Kids, and I've been sending out a lot of emails with pictures of where to park and the flyer as well as a picture of Neighbors for Kids. So I hope that you can join us. We'll start at 10 o'clock. We're not sure when it will end with all these speakers, which is great, but it should be from about 2 to 2:30. And we'd love to have you there. And we're gonna have world famous hot dogs and cookies and really good door prizes, so we should have a good time, good showing. We also have a emergency preparedness meeting on the 13th at 3 o'clock, our regular stated meeting. And we invited Michael Dane to talk to us, our emergency communications person. The committee hasn't talked to him in quite a while. We just wanted to see how things are going. And I'd like to get more information from him. If there's an emergency, what is his role? Because Samantha Buckley with the county will be our go-to person. She will tell us what to do. I'm so curious what his role is in that. So we're going to have him, we have several questions for him, but it'll be a really educational talk, I think. And then Michael has a colleague called Michael Tomlinson. And Mr. Tomlinson was alerted of our emergency preparedness meeting. He lives in Little Cove, and he has a lot of great experience. He's an oceanographer, but he's also very interested in radios and communications. And he came up with this wonderful board. It's pretty big, and he's going to bring it that will show other ways of communication when there is an event, what should happen, different forms of communication, how to get the message out that there is an emergency and what to do about it. And so he'll be one of our guest speakers as well. So we're looking forward to that. You should be interested if you could join us. So any questions? Okay.
A quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the Lincoln County Solid Waste people coming?
Hey, please?
Lincoln County Solid Waste?
No, you're not. I mean, they came, I think last March.
So, I think I just learned that they're getting ready to finalize their waste debris, you know, what to do with all the waste after tsunami or earthquake and stuff. So they haven't finalized it yet, but soon, so it might be good to, you know, have the committee revisit,
Yeah.
you know, the plans where things will be hauled for temporary stay, or how it's sorted, if at all.
Now that's good to know. I didn't realize that. And then Bill had a suggestion. He had a garage door expert that had a little device. If I'm explaining this wrong, Bill, let me know. On the front of your garage, so if your electricity comes out, you can still open your door. And I didn't talk to him. I tried to talk to him, but I left a message about being one of our guests, and we'll just put it off till next time.
Oh, yeah, just put it out there.
There's always a ton of stuff out there, you know, so much to learn. I went to, last weekend, I went to a meeting in Newport. It was related to not necessarily senior citizens, but anyone that's disabled, how to care for this disabled person if there's an emergency, and that was good. And then the Lincoln County had an emergency preparedness event, and I went to that. It was so funny because Karen and I were at that event, and we were walking around, and then we saw Deb, and then we're walking around and we saw Randy, you know, so we didn't come together, but we all Thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you.
Alrighty, Emergency Energy Advisory Committee, I don't think they met, but Karen, you put out the grant application last week, was that?
Yeah, we got it sent out. I think it's actually been closer to 2 weeks ago.
Oh, 2 weeks,
It was
okay.
19th of August, or September.
So we've applied for a construction grant.
Right.
For,
Yeah, we're just waiting on that one. And I talked to the consultant the other day, and he doesn't think we're gonna hear anything before the first of the year anyway, so.
thank you. Harvard?
We'll come to that later in the meeting.
Okay, sounds
Thank you.
good. Planning, I don't think planning, we had a report from them. Parks and Recs, Ely, come on up.
So, my firm, Facts and Recreation Commission. So in our last meeting, we had discussion where we wanted to develop more projects, brought on by the commissioners. And I proposed Depoe Book Club. It's a proposal that where we could have rotating these jams to accommodate the different expectations of the community to meet once a month in the community center to read a book and discuss it. That's simple, and that motion was approved by the commission. Kimberly said that the dispute to proposal to the city council for the input, approval and feedback. So basically, our need could be just to have access to the community center for 2 hours a week, free of charge.
Okay. This is not on the agenda, so.
It really doesn't need an official approval, and
Okay.
the idea is, are you okay with this? Do you have any objections? Do you have any questions? Would you like more information?
I have lots of questions.
Sure. There you go.
So as a city event, held by the commissioners of the city, do we now have to start worrying about public meeting law, having all of the issues with minutes and all of that kind of stuff? Because you'll have 3 commissioners or more commissioners in a public meeting.
As long as they don't discuss anything about business, if it's just about the book club, it's just considered getting together, and that it's
And
clear
so-
that you're allowed to do that.
So is it a city-sponsored event? Is it a city
Well, it would
volunteer
be-
event?
Mhm.
So I just have a lot of questions about how we could structure that, and I think it's a great idea. But I think we just need to be careful in how we structure it, so that if it truly is a city-sanctioned event, that we're dealing with things like Title VI and access and all of the, if somebody requires translations, and there's just a whole slew of legal things that I think we need to concern ourselves with. Whereas if it were a volunteer group that wanted to get together in the community center that was prompted by the parks, then that would be different, because it's a bunch of volunteers getting together and we're just letting them use the community center.
There's some of that stuff you might be overthinking a bit, Councilman Sella, because it is a city-sponsored event, but it's not any different than National Night Out or Pepalooza or Crab Feed, if we sponsor the Crab Feed. I mean, there are certainly requirements and certainly insurance things, but a lot of what they do would be covered under our insurance umbrella because they're volunteers. The questions would be making sure that we're being fair, that everybody, who decides who gets to participate, and that, do they just say only certain genres get to participate, who gets to participate? It's being fair and inclusive. That we're gonna have to watch out for. But otherwise, the idea is also for them to have your blessing to make sure they're okay to use, if it's a city sponsor, they can use the community hall as part of their event.
You done with your questions, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I just have a whole slew of them that I look forward to.
Yeah, I am really excited about starting to provide some community enrichment events. And I'm really interested in bringing like yoga, either chair yoga or regular yoga to the community center. And other things that the residents, especially as the winter's coming on, and if the Parks Commission isn't doing the crab fees, which I understand, that, there'll be some funding in our budget still that, we could, first of all, have no fees for the resident, parks sponsored events, and also help at least get it off the ground by maybe waiving, fees or helping cover fees for the instructors or something like that. So this is a great start. I'm excited about it, and I think it'll benefit residents who want to get to know each other, and we don't really have that much going on here. So So anyway, I'm really supportive, and waiving of the community fees, I think, is a great idea.
I agree, I think it's a great idea. The only thing the condition will be set is no weekends for this.
Oh, yeah, no retail.
No weekends.
Weekends.
Oh,
Gina
no
told you that,
weekends.
right? Gina told you no weekend, right?
Yes, all we can, so probably summer weekday
Yeah.
between 6 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
No weekends because there's a higher paid demand
Oh, yeah.
for it.
Are we all in concurrence there?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll put you on the list.
There was also a Megan from the scavenger, the glass scavenger folks. Are you here? Okay, never mind then.
Is she on up there?
Oh, Megan, are you online? Nope, I don't see her.
I see Loretta is. Loretta, do you want to unmute? Loretta? Oh, okay. So, we've got a notice from her. Has everyone had a chance to look at that? Is there discussion on that?
Was that another rescue?
That was about the sign going up,
Yeah, the rescue.
yeah.
So, I agree with the Lincoln County folks that, everywhere on the ocean front there could be rest. But there, I saw a sign at Fishing Rock Headlands, where you park and then go out to the fishing rock, that just has a picture of a person falling off the edge, that we could put on access points that not on the ocean front, but just where people go as a, heads up. And it would only be a few signs, and I'll send it, my picture to Ken, and we maybe just decide if this is good, because I remember a discussion years and years ago. I think I was in planning commission at the time, and the point is, if you sign one place but not the other, you're basically saying everywhere else is safe. So if you could just say danger, steep drop-offs on, certain places, that that would be, that might be better. So I'll bring a copy of the sign and see what people think. And, because it's at the access way, for example, the Fishing Rock headland there, obviously the state parks has thought about it, and they're not putting it on the everywhere, they're just putting it at one place. So anyway, I don't know what the solution is, but I can show you a sign that is already up that might help.
My only concern is we have a lot of sea places we can't sign them all.
No,
Then we'll
no.
have a city full of signs. So, I'd love to, put signs that don't stay on the seawall because I'm worried about somebody falling in, but, there's only so much we can unfortunately do that.
ODOT might be an obstacle, but can we put one sign on the entrance to town that says, beware ocean cliffs?
Well, we can't, we would have to get a permit from the sign.
If we just put one of those at each end of town, wouldn't that cover us for any?
No.
So remember though, if somebody falls into the ocean, we are covered under recreational immunity. So there's if somebody falls in, we're not legally liable for it. It's unfortunate, but we're not the city legally liable for it. So doing the sign,
Well, that one looked pretty compromised to begin with, so.
Yeah, and that was county property that she.
Right.
yes.
Well,
It
trespass
looked
again
like
across.
She trespassed on private property.
Private property.
Private property.
Yeah.
Since then, they put up no trespassing signs.
I have a question.
Yes.
When do we have that person or persons accept responsibility for their actions? And say, it's not our turn to babysit. Someone has to be accountable, and it's always pointed at the council or the group. When does someone step up to say, you caused this, you own it, that's it? Is that feasible?
Yeah.
Well, let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's look at a sign and where we could post one.
If it's worth it,
Yeah.
I'll just bring it in.
Can we do that?
I'll do whatever you direct me to do, but I really don't wanna work on putting signs up throughout the city spots, because how do we determine where they should go?
I know, this is good.
Yeah.
But if you would like Council Rec to bring in the sign so you can see it at the next meeting and tell me what you want me to do, I'm more than happy.
I don't even have to do it.
Yeah, we don't, okay. Okay, so we're not gonna do signs, okay. And Megan didn't show up, okay. We'll do public comments, and this is gonna be public comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Sam, no. Public comments not related to the items on the agenda. Okay. We have a unfinished business, we have a capital improvement project here at City Hall that we've been investigating on. And Kim is still recommending that we do a seismic study just to get a feeling for what all needs to be done. Is there a motion to accept this amount of $14,000 to do a seismic study?
Summer.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to go ahead with the seismic study. Is there discussion on the motion? Yes.
I just think that, with the amount of money that we're spending on other things that are not in the budget already, this is not in the budget as well. I just think we should wait until budget season and throw it into budget season. And do it next year. It's $14,000 to basically have them tell us that the building is not structurally going to survive a massive earthquake. We already know that, and so I just think that it's $14,000 that we should just spend during the budget season with an allocation that says, you know what, we're gonna do the study and allocate X number of dollars for improvements at the same time.
So you're saying that they, only gonna tell us it's not sound, or they're gonna recommend, improvements that we need to do?
Yeah, they're not gonna just say, oh, it's sound or not.
No, they're gonna
They're gonna
recommend.
recommend,
Sure.
here's what it needs, if you want, this is our emergency operations center, as you know. So if we are gonna keep it as emergency operations center, we need to do a lot of work to make sure it stands in the event of an earthquake. Otherwise, why have it as the emergency
Well, then we
operations?
might have to change it.
Right.
We don't
So
know that.
if you get a certain seismic study and you know what needs to be done, then the council says, we need to find an EOC, or we need to do this work to fix it. It's not certainly, not an emergency, so it can wait. I just have been asked to bring back that information to the next council.
Question, is this amount of money, is it capable of having a grant? Do we know that?
I try.
Because I know SITP, from what I read, seems like they listed that as one of their funding apparatus.
I looked at grants, and for this particular thing, we're already applying for the SIP for water and wastewater, so I can throw in another grant, but
Was there a
she
budget?
said to look at priority, which means they'll probably fund, they're not gonna fund all 3 of our
I
projects.
see, okay.
They would only fund what we send the most important and facilities plan. is important, but, there was a seismic grant, but they said that we don't qualify because we're not a first responder building. I said, but we're an emergency center, people are gonna come here, and they said, do that. But I'm still looking,
Okay, thank
if I can find one, I'm going to go for it.
you. I saw it listed on their,
Mhm.
And I just think, we all know that this building was built whenever, and the chance of it surviving a cascading earthquake are gonna be slim to none. And so, I mean, $14,000 to be told that, I just think it's not a prudent use in my opinion.
Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Oh, that's right, sorry.
The motion was to accept the $14,000 seismic study on the City Hall.
So, I'm, after hearing Bill's argument, I think I'd be comfortable waiting, so, if we call for, I think, instead of doing it by consensus, we should call for a vote.
All right, there's a motion in a second, so you do need to vote.
Do you want to call the roll? We'll do a call by
Call the
person.
question.
Well, I mean, this is just a simple vote, it's not really.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Okay, so now you have to raise your hand because we have some quiet people. So
Okay.
all in favor?
All in favor?
Okay, opposed?
And all opposed.
There you go. Thank you.
We got it. Okay, we got it.
But we will be doing it, we will be putting it in the next budget cycle.
Yes.
Okay, we have the first reading of the harbor user fee ordinance number 358-25, City of Depoe Bay, and ordinance amending ordinance number 340-23, Chapter 92, the City of Depoe Bay Harbor Ordinance, establishing a harbor user fee. Is there a motion to accept reading this ordinance by title only?
Pardon me if I might interject. We have a lot of people here that want to talk. If we do a first reading by title only and the council decides to do a bunch of revisions, we really can't do that. So it might be feasible for the council to listen to the public feedback in case you want to make changes, because then it would just be going back and redoing things, because you could end up with a lot of, and then we'd have to start all over with the first reading anyway.
Okay. So we should just have a public hearing?
A public comment section, just have a public, yeah.
Okay, we'll open the ordinance number 358-25 for public comments.
Yes. And if you come up, please come up, and those of you that have been here before, you know, sign your name. Actually, please sign your name, but sign it clearly so our lovely admin assistant can figure out who is speaking.
And you have 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yes, and then we can.
Good evening.
Could you say your name for the record?
My name is Miley
Oh,
Aiken.
thank you.
Address is 525 Lane, and I'm a Depoe Bay resident of 20 years and one of the owners at Tradewinds Charters. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of our company and the charter community that keeps this harbor alive. The harbor user fee is an unlawful tax. Despite being labeled a user fee, the proposal functions as a revenue-generating tax meant to subsidize general harbor operations. Under Oregon law, a fee must be tied directly to a service rendered or a facility used. This proposal does neither. It targets passengers boarding from private docks without use of any city facilities and funnels funds into a general harbor fund. That makes us a tax, however you want to label it. And such a measure cannot be imposed without voter approval. Including privately owned docks within the reach of this ordinance is not only beyond the city's lawful authority, but reckless. No municipality has the right to charge private property owners or their patrons for access occurring entirely off city-owned land. Attempting to do so exposes the city to legal liability for unlawful and unauthorized demands for payment and interference with business operations. If enacted, this ordinance will burden visitors already navigating a difficult economy. These added costs will inevitably be passed on to customers, discouraging tourism and driving business to neighboring ports that do not impose such fees. Depoe Bay's harbor is the working part of this town. Weakening it will not just hurt the charter operations, but restaurants, shops, and lodging that requires on tourism it sustains. Many vessels operating from Depoe Bay are independent businesses. Tradewinds Charters act solely as a booking agent. While each vessel maintains its own licensing, insurance, and mortgage fees paid directly to the city. Because these vessels already pay for their slips and do not embark passengers from city-owned facilities, any additional per passenger fee is legally indefensible. The city cannot duplicate charges or shift financial liability to booking agents or vessel owners for operations occurring entirely on private docks. In public meetings, members of this council have made statements implying that the charter companies make so much money that they should help pay, or similar comments based on assumptions rather than facts. Not only are such statements inaccurate, they're inappropriate, unethical, and damaging. They undermine the trust between the harbor users and the city, the very trust that is essential for functional working relationship. Comments like these contribute to an atmosphere of hostility and make it extremely difficult for businesses and cities to collaborate in good faith. We further are alarmed by the city's repeated and false statements suggesting that Tradewinds Charters does not own its docks or private property. What right does the city have to make such claims both publicly and privately without first reviewing public records? Our ownership is clearly documented with Lincoln County. Making statements to this contrary is misleading, damaging, and reckless, and exposes this city to potential liability of defamation and interference with business. Even if the city were to claim control over submerged lands beneath private docks, no lawful conveyance supports such authority. Under Oregon law, title to submerged and submersible lands rests with the state of Oregon, unless expressly conveyed, and no such convey exists in favor of the city of Depoe Bay. Federal law and Oregon's public trust doctrine further prevents the city from imposing fees that interfere with lawful upland ownership of private dock operations. This ordinance contributes to a troubling pattern by the city of Depoe Bay marked by failed audits, fiscal mismanagement, and ongoing litigation over municipal overreaches. Rather than addressing those issues, the city has once again attempted to generate revenue through unlawful means and undermine the very businesses keeping Depoe Bay's economy afloat. For these reasons, we will not remit a harbor user fee for passengers loading from private docks where no city property is used. We will not sign a dock lease for property where we hold recorded deeds and water rights to. And we strongly object to the city's misstatements regarding private ownership. We call upon the city council to withdraw this unlawful ordinance and end these reckless overreaches. Depoe Bay's harbor is the foundation of this town's identity and economy. Undermining it through illegal policy serves no one, least of all the citizens and the small businesses who keep this town alive.
Thank you, Amy. More public comments? We do have one person online, but if you wanna do,
They can go online first.
Do you wanna do online
oh, I'm
first?
sorry, yeah. Loretta,
If you wanna unmute, go ahead.
I'm just here to listen.
Oh, I thought you had your hand up, sorry. Okay. Okay.
First of all, I apologize, my Word document was not working, so I had to handwrite this. So,
Yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
Here, you got it, you can pass it.
okay, sorry. Oh, thank you, Gary.
Are you gonna read this, Carrie, or we kind of hard to read?
no, you don't have to read it. I just am giving it to you, if okay, I was gonna try to get it typewritten and get it to her, but my Word document wasn't working. My name is Carrie Newell. I run Will Research Eco-Excursions. And I want you to refer to your ordinance, number 358-25. And there's a number of points I want to address with this. First of all, just kind of relate to what was said already. We are a small tourist community that relies on each other. I know some of you, Brennan, you know what a food web is, a number of people know what a food web is. Well, similar to a food web, the fishing and whale watching charters help all other businesses. The fishing and whale watching act as the base. We feed many of the other things. Tourist accommodations, as Bill well knows, restaurants, grocery stores, gift shops, gas stations. Much of this comes directly from the fishing and whale watching business. If in fact, all the charters would pull out of the city, and Jim, you like fishing, you would lose a lot of business, bottom line. I mean, I would guess about 80% of what comes into the shops and everything is probably related somehow to fishing and whale watching. So, please don't give tourists a reason not to come here. And I feel that if you do this user fee, which is actually, looks more like a tax to me, Newport's only 12 miles away, and they'll have lower fees, and they'll say, oh yeah, Depoe Bay penalizes tourists for coming. So you really don't wanna go to Depot Bay. So they will have other options, and once they get there, they might not wanna come back. The economy is already bad. We don't wanna burden any of our people any more than they are already burdened. And starting at whereas, the first whereas, you know, I really would like you to spell out exactly how you're controlling and managing harbor properties and facilities. When we had a chunk of concrete and rebar fall in front of my dock, it was a navigation hazard. I asked at least a half a dozen times for it to be removed. And they said, the city said, no, it's not our responsibility. We don't own that water, not ours, not ours. But yet now you wanna charge a user fee, but you can't remove the rebar and a chunk of concrete that I have to navigate around every time I move my boat. So it's kind of like a catch-57 here. It's like, if it's good for me, we'll do it, but if it's good for you, we're not gonna do it. And that's very frustrating. Also, number 4, second whereas, other ways to increase fees fairly. There's so many other ways. I mean, many of us have been so busy in the summer that we haven't had time to brainstorm some other ways that we can bring additional fees in. But I have numerous ideas. I know that other charter companies also do. Also, I called the Oregon State Marine Board. Depot Bay does not own the water. It's not owned by Depot Bay. You do not own the water. Number 4, as a navigation for infrastructure, you know, some of us have our own restrooms and everything else, so you gotta think of it that way. The 5th, whereas describe exactly how you will maintain and improve the harbor and hold and be held accountable for all these improvements, you know. Specify date, we're gonna get this done on this date. I mean, you tell us that we have to do this, this, and this, but yet, you know, I don't feel it's going both ways. I don't think it's being held accountable both ways. Furthermore, this kind of cracked me up. You have here, furthermore, the adoption of this ordinance is necessary to preserve the peace, health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Depot Bay. No. Necessary? No, it's not necessary because it doesn't need to be done. Peace? No, because it'll bring more or less conflict. Health? No, because it will not bring a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Safety? How are you gonna address the safety? Welfare? Bring health and happiness to the person? I don't think so. I think they're singling out the charter companies and then trying to, you know, hold the other guy that votes accountable. I mean, it's a logistical nightmare. You're not gonna be able to figure out who's gonna be paying the tax and who's not, because they're gonna be coming in, they're not gonna be paying the tax, some of these guy charters and other ones, you know. Who's gonna stand down there and say, hey, you need to pay? You know, they're gonna go in, go out, they're not even gonna pay. So this is actually taxation without representation is what I feel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie. Is there another public comment? Yes, please, come on up.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elijah Johnson. I know some of you. I'm a U.S. Coast Guard veteran. I'm also a charter boat captain here in Depot Bay. I'll be the first to admit what I have to say is not going to be nearly as eloquent or well thought out as what Noelia and Carrie had to say, so I'm just going to speak to you folks from the heart. The city of Depot Bay, we depend on people wanting to come to our town, wanting to go out on boats, wanting to go out and see whales, wanting to go out and catch fish. And that has an effect on every other business here in town. A tourist who comes to town and wants to go whale watching is also going to need somewhere to go eat lunch, eat dinner. You're also gonna need somewhere to stay, a hotel. So I guess I'm trying to get at here, people come here to go out on the water. They're also bringing their business, bringing their money, and supporting our economy. The measures proposed in this ordinance here, I feel, would deter that tourism, adversely affect our economy, and ultimately mean that less people want to come here, less people want to go out on the water, less people want to support our economy, go into our restaurants, stay in our hotels, go into our bars. So to that effect, this is something I oppose. I think this puts an undue strain on our businesses. I think it's going to adversely affect the economy here in town, and overall, this isn't a good idea, folks. Like I said, I'm speaking to you from the heart. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Roger. Are there any other comments? Okay, we will close the public.
Can I say something?
Oh, sure, come on up.
Good evening. It's been a while since I've been back here. Last time I spoke, my name is Desiree Causing, born and raised resident here for 43 years, mother of 3 children. We all know our community is hard to live here on our beautiful Oregon coast. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about the harbor, and I get everything needs to make money and revenue, and we've got to try to work together. But going after the harbor is not the way to do it. It's gonna affect our restaurants, our servers, our bartenders, our dishwashers, every part of our economy. The winter is already hard. I can barely keep food on the table for my kids. I can barely keep clean clothes on my children. It is a real struggle for us locals. Well, some, it starts affecting the businesses in the harbor, and when the people don't come, where is that gonna put us? And even a harder spot. And I hear all these different things about, you know, tax and the waterways, and if you just work together, like, maybe safety, you know, how can, I heard the sheriff, right? 79,000 annually, maybe, we don't know yet, but what about the one and only stoplight we have? Put a camera there, make some money off of that. I sit in my place of employment and I watch people nearly hitting pedestrians every day, over and over, or speeding through. I mean, we could put our brains together and really work together and make money and make it safe. What about the bathrooms? The public bathrooms, the one and only restroom. The sink is overflowing today. The toilet is half broken and there's feces all over it, but yet we only have 2 restrooms in the neighborhood. Why can't we keep that clean? We can't even maintain that. There's so much bigger things that we can do to make our community bigger. Remember our roots, what we've been founded on. The harbor is the love of Depoe Bay, and I beg you to please not hurt.
Thank you, Desiree. We got to do a public outburst like that. Okay, so now, any other comments? Yes, please, come on up.
Try to keep this kind of simple since I really dread public speaking.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Anthony Picorni.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
My wife and I work in hospitality. Granted, don't exactly have a dog in the fight, metaphorically speaking, as far as I can vote with whatnot. But we do get quite a bit of complaints or even compliments. But something like gas pricing or fuel pricing, that'll affect a whole lot of how things, whether folks drop the boats in or not. I mean, even when Newport was about 50 cents less than Lincoln City, Right now, we're actually going to Newport to fuel up our cars and whatnot. That's gonna have the same effect as far as even loading. And if I understand correctly, I believe the fuel tank is in question of being eliminated. I can't say if the Coast Guard can be able to stay. I mean, if they cannot be, essentially basically quote unquote battle ready, that is, if they have unable to get everything that they need for their mission, whatnot, whether rescue or whatever. But if they can't be basically quote unquote battle ready, they may have to leave. So, gas prices is going to be one of the big things. Is what's going to be a compromise, and that you'll have a lot more folks with 5-gallon tanks, going out to their boat to wherever their dock is, potentially doing a lot more accident spills. And
So this is regarding the user fee that we're talking about right now?
I think, yeah, I guess it kind of in part, probably some of my questions probably or inquiry probably be for the next part, but well, I have to admit, normally I'm napping right now, so. I yield the rest of the time.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
So Madam Mayor, can you just move his comments to the fuel discussion section?
Sure.
Thank you.
Is there anyone online that wants to unmute and speak?
No, okay. All right, so we'll close the,
Oh, one more. If that's okay.
You don't want to go?
No, I do.
Oh, well, come on up.
No.
And, looks like Shuley also raised her hand, so,
Oh, okay.
Shuley, you're next.
Hi, my name is Ohan. I live at 644 North Highway 101, Depoe Bay. Been here for a lot of years, and if you guys are looking to raise money, I really think you need to involve everybody, and it kind of seems like you're just targeting a certain area, and that's not really fair. And I know there's different options that you could do. But if money is what you're looking for, and this starts a conversation, if anything. And I know you've had some meetings prior in June and August, and it's a busy time for people, and sometimes those that work in town, they can't always get away and get here to speak for that. But last summer, watching how the harbor master operated down on the waterfront. I go to a harbor meeting to talk about him, but we're not allowed to complain. And I guess he takes his orders from the council?
From Brady.
From Brady,
Yeah,
okay.
he's an employee.
He's a hard enough guy. But, things weren't too cool, and you see, people so concerned about how many crab pots are stacked on the dock, going down there counting, reporting to the harbor master, and hanging out down there, just keeping a real evil eye on stuff. So this just kind of falls right into place. You guys are targeting people, and a lot of people say that, but I think you need to involve more of the community, maybe the residents of hotels. You need to do it more fair, and that doesn't look like it's what's taking place. So, have you guys found an auditor yet?
Yes, we're working that.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Because
yes,
I know some people don't like the word auditors, but
we love it.
I love auditors.
it's hard to understand how people say we're running out of money when you can't see it. When you can't get a copy of something, things
You
that.
can always get a copy, we have public records, you can get copies of everything that we have on file.
Okay.
We have total
Well,
transparency.
So we just take public comments, we don't get back and forth.
Oh, so okay, I thought,
Yes.
oh, good.
I'm sorry, Bill.
No, that's fine. But anyhow, I just hope you guys, look at it a little bit harder. So back in the 90s, when I was on city council, we had a thing called RDI, Rural Development Initiative, which created a thing called the CRT, Citizens Response Team. And we had a person who came to town, a group of them, who did some walkarounds, and they had suggestions on how to make your town better and stuff like that. The guy that did the harder part, he looked at your harder, and he says, the problem you have here is you have locals here. And what you need to do is have your locals go to Newport, put in new docks, and cater to people from the valley. And boy, the rate you guys are going, it's, it almost kind of looks like you're headed that way, which I hope not. So I do encourage you guys to maybe try to leave with more of the other parts of the businesses, public, all the different things that takes, makes this town work. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil, appreciate it. Shuley, did you have a comment?
But yes, I'm Shuley Wisniewski. I reside at 15 East Lane Street. And I have lived here since 1983. I concur with everything that Phil Taunton just said. And I've watched what's happening be created now. It's taken decades. It saddens my heart. I have begged people who are involved in the fishing industry to speak up. They can't just have a spokesperson. Each person from every one of these charter industries needs to speak up, like Booner and Craig Calkins and Chris Schaffner and all the people who are really critically involved in this. Eva Harmon, Tyler Turner, Jurgen Turner, and countless others. I'm gonna quit naming everybody. Because back in the 90s, it became imperative for us to speak verbally at these meetings, or we would be totally discounted and overlooked. Depoe Bay is known worldwide as the most navigable harbor in the world's smallest navigable harbor. I'm sorry. I am too emotionally attached to people who fish out of our harbor and build the tourism that keeps our town alive. Without our bay, everyone in this community will suffer. And I hope that you can figure something else out, because I'm starting to think that Newport Bay needs to be in charge of Depoe Bay, because we changed that when I was a kid, and I thought that was fantastic. But watching what's happening now makes me feel like we need to go back to just that. And I don't know how to do it. I'm a social worker. I'm a medical social worker. I am not a fisherman. I would need guidance from all of the people I named to try to figure out how to recover from what the city is trying to do to them. I disagree with you vehemently. And I hope you can really respect the people you are going to hurt, which include people in this town and people outside of our community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Shuley. Is there any other answer? Anybody else? Okay. Close the public comments now. And so can we go on with discussion of the ordinance?
That's at council's pleasure. If you want to make changes, if you want to move forward with the first reading, then you can move forward with the first reading by title only. Or you can discuss, depending on where you're at.
So there were a number of changes that I wanted to discuss. I don't know if we need to do the first reading first, but I have, I don't know, probably a dozen or more changes.
Oh, okay, so what we do is we make a motion to read the ordinance by,
Pardon me, if he has a dozen or more changes that you guys want, that's not doing first reading. It's a
Okay.
draft, it's a draft review.
draft review.
Yeah, because if he's got a dozen more changes that you wanna make, that's too big of a change between a first and second reading.
Okay,
So
so what do we do now?
so we can discuss.
It's a draft, it's just discussing a
So we
draft.
can
okay,
discuss the
okay.
draft.
Okay,
So I read through this and, you know, a lot of what was on here is kind of tailored around what happened with the transient lodging stuff, where we do have to pay a fee, and it is a tax for transient lodging because it's a state authorized tax. What I think is not very clear here, and it seems that the discussion wasn't very clear, this is not something that is a direct impact. Well, it's an impact, but it's a different kind of an impact. This is a pass-through fee for the harbor users. It's not for the operators of the harbor. It's going to be charged to the passengers as a pass-through. The operators and or their agents are really just an entity that's holding the city's money in trust until it's due. And I think I think that needs to be made much more clear in the opening purpose and intent section that clearly says that it's a pass-through fee paid by the passengers and that the operators and the owners act solely as collection agents for the city. Nothing in the chapter would impose any kind of a fee on the operator for the privilege of operating charters, businesses, or moorage or anything like that. It's the purpose and intent is to fund the facilities that are in the harbor, the things that those guests use, the bathrooms, the parking lots, the walkways, the docks, all of those things. That's the purpose of it. And so I think that the purpose and intent needs to be very much more drawn out of what that is. In number 2, I think we need to make a clear distinction between the operator and the agent and or the booking agent, because they could be one and the same, but they could be different. And I think that without having a clear definition of who is who, we have a difficult time when we start going down on the imposing of the fee, as to who we're imposing the fee on. And so I think that's the next section we need to look at, which is, I think that we need to define what the fee is. And I think in the last discussion, we said the fee was $2. And it's gonna be imposed on each passenger embarking from the harbor. The fee amount may be set or amended by resolution of the council. We don't want it to be something that you have to come back and adjust. The obligation to pay the fee rests with the passenger at the time of sale, or if no sale occurs before boarding the ship. The operator and any merchant of record must collect the fee from the passenger and hold in a trust for the city until it's remitted. And the fee is a pass-through charge and not revenue to the operator or agent. And then the fee may be itemized on receipts. If included in the bundled price, the operator or merchant of record must account for and remit the required fee based on the passenger count. And I think there was also some discussion about the rosters, and do we really need to see the full rosters? I don't think it's important, and I don't think the city needs to know who every person is that gets on those boats. We just need to know what the count is. And I think that the Coast Guard requires that they have a roster of the count anyway, so that would be the audit record. We don't want to have to deal with anything other than what is the count.
The only thing I'd like to point out to that, if we're gonna rely on the Coast Guard, we have to go through cumbersome process to request records.
No, what I'm saying there is that they already have to produce that for the Coast Guard, so we are just gonna take the number off of that. We're not asking the Coast Guard to provide it. I think that every, and I could be wrong, I mean, I'm not a fisherman. I could be wrong, but I thought that every passenger.
You're correct, the Coast Guard does require this.
Right, so
But
they're
what you're
having to-
saying is that we need to use the Coast Guard if we need to
No,
see the list.
What I'm saying is they're already creating for the Coast Guard.
Oh, okay,
account.
I misunderstood.
So we should just use the same count that they're providing to the Coast Guard.
So count, not individual.
It's a count, not individual, and I think that, when we get to that whole section on, confidentiality, we need to make sure that we're, instead of detailing all of the detail that you do there, I think we need to just make it simple. That the passenger logs and all the supporting documents are confidential to the extent required by public meeting law. Or public record law, not meeting. I think
Okay,
that's
so
ORS
are you talking about what gets provided to us?
what
correct?
is provided to, if we get a public meeting or a public records request to us, we should not have to submit anything other than the counts.
We would have to submit whatever's in the public records law, and passenger manifest might
Exactly.
also be included.
Which is what I'm saying.
So if we collected them.
Is 192, or as 192 should be the guiding principle on that. We've got way too much detail in there. I think that if we just say ORS 192, then we can follow whatever the legislature says is the requirement, as opposed to trying to come up with all of the ins and outs and who's.
That could be a change for the short-term rental that I should do now?
Well, I'm just, there we go.
Because that's taken right from there.
And as far as the 92.04, the passenger fee obligation attaches to the trip. You know, there's gonna be instances that we haven't accounted for everything. And I think that emergencies occur, they could have a medical emergency, they could have an engine problem or whatever. Come back, fix it, drop the person off or whatever, and then continue with their trip. And the way it's written now doesn't account for that, and that would, in the way it's written, would account for 2 trips, not 1. And I just think we need to tighten that up a little bit. And the liability and payment section, I've got 4 bullet points there that basically say that the operator and merchant of record jointly and severally are liable for what they've collected to submit to the city. And failure to collect the fee does not relieve them from their duty. Filings are due. It looks like we've moved that to twice a year, which is probably a smart thing, so I like that. Although April does not have 31 days, so we need to adjust it to 30 days.
No, it doesn't.
And the rebate, I don't know where the $50 minimum came from, but I think we should remove the $50 minimum because if they don't have $50, the city doesn't want to have to pay for somebody that pay them $50 when they don't have $50 worth of remittances. So I think we should remove the $50 and just leave it as a flat 5%. And then the last thing was on penalties and interest. It was just an 18% per annum. So I have those summarized, if that would be helpful for you, Kim.
Once
and the
we see
council.
where the council's going with
Yes.
this.
I mean, I can submit it to you so you can send it.
Sure, that would be great.
But I think that there's a number of things that just need to be tightened up before it would be ready for prime time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sure. And I'd like to add that, I only wanted it to be $1, but I know I wasn't at that last meeting, I zoomed in and I tried to see, but I think $2 is too much personally, I think it should only be $1 per person. That's my input.
Yes, Fran, I'm sorry. So, we run a deficit in the harbor. And there's been a lot of harbor commission meetings, and we've heard people, there was support for this to raise revenue. There hasn't been any ideas of how to cover that over 118,000, more than that, out on top of what, other 100,000, 50,000 we get from transfer room tax. I haven't heard, and I want to hear any other revenue generators, but we've given people time, and this is just, in my mind, there hasn't been any attempt to help the city make up the deficit so we can have a rainy day fund for all the things that go wrong in the harbor that we can't keep paying out of the general fund. People said, oh, raise more trades. Well, you know how that would go. It just doesn't make sense. And Bill's, I really like some of the things he said, but it is a fee. It's just like like the transient room, tax fee, it's on the, it's on the charter, on the passenger to pay it. And yes, maybe it'll be passed on, but, I mean, I travel a lot, and these little, $2 this and tax that, and that, people don't even blink an eye. The whole idea, they'll go to Newport. Newport is not Depoe Bay. People love Depoe Bay, and they love our charter food, they love the harbor. So, I just, some of these lawsuit threats, and it's really disheartening, because there is so much time for people to weigh in at the Harbor Commission, at these meetings, and we've been going at it for a long time. And I would like to see the new draft with some of Bill's, all of Bill's ideas incorporated. And my only other input is I'd really like to keep this simple. I don't, I think we should enact it at $2 per passenger, paying passenger, and then look at how many freebies or veterans or this, and that's a marketing tool for these charter boats too. It's not like, they're giving a lot away, but that's on, what they want to do. So I just want to keep it simple. Let's put it in, it would go in starting January, ramp up. If we could offer assistance if people need help setting it up. We could certainly have, everybody has a different credit card system and stuff, but we could offer some technical assistance. We could help make it smooth and ease the transition, but we need to start getting revenue in. And if Tim's calculations were correct, this would only raise like 67,000, I think it was. I don't have my paperwork in front of me. And, it'd be great if it raised the deficit, but it doesn't. But at least it's a contribution to try to have a rainy day fund for the harbor, which we do not, and we keep putting out money that we don't have. And I know people say, well, spread the harm, across everybody. But this was our first priority, and we've said this for a long time. It's been in public meetings. And we do want a transaction tax for other businesses in town because we can't even fix our roads because we have to either get grants or raise more money. I'm kind of rambling now, but this is the first step. We said we wanted to do it, and I'm ready to move forward, but not tonight, of course, but really try to put this in place, and we can adjust over time. And I do want to hear constructive suggestions from the charter fleet. How can we help you make this easy? That's my statement. Bill, did you have anything?
I respect the fact that y'all want to see the inclusive tax, citywide. I totally agree with that. That's really my only, I feel bad that you feel like you're being singled out, you're not. But we have got to balance this situation. And we really want, if you guys have revenue generating ideas, please let us know. I mean, what else can we do to keep the harbor going in this wonderful place that it is? My concern is because so many people coming into town that don't necessarily spend the night. It's like, and then they go to the SeaWorld and they do this and they go shopping. They may not spend any money or not much anywhere else. How do we get, I'd like to put a gate up at each end of town and charge a fee to get in, but I guess that won't work either. So if we have something else, maybe we do this as a start with the promise that yes, for sales tax or whatever. When we get to those, we have to refresh my memory. I think some of that stuff has to go out for a vote. So, but we'll be following, the legal process. So I support it. I feel bad, but nobody's really giving us any idea on how things are.
Did you have any comments this evening? Just that I don't know that if everyone in town is aware that we have no property tax money coming in. You can't compare us to the harbor in Newport. Their city is supported by property tax. We are not. All we have is TRT. and the businesses that benefit from the harbor tourism, Depot Bay doesn't get any money back from them to help support the harbor or the rest of the town. So that's all I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Well, I empathize with everyone here. I come from a working background, I'm newer on the council. We're looking at a lot of ways, but we operate under a deficit in this business. We need to work together to come to a solution. None of us want to see anybody's livelihood affected. It just breaks our heart to hear what you got to say tonight. So please, when you come up and talk, come up with a solution as well, or an idea. Let's enhance our skill set, get everyone involved. I've attended several harbor groups, and I'm easy to get a hold of and communicate with. We need some fresh ideas, some things that will work. For example, one of the things I thought is in the evening, we've got this beautiful harbor down here. Let's do something with it when we can. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it could be good because you got a lot of skill sets here. Come up with some ideas. It has to come with some kind of revenue stream. We don't have enough revenue to make our bills. We're operating at a deficit. We don't have any income. It's a 70-30 split when we do get it. And 30 goes to advertising. So that's where we're at. We are all volunteers here. We have businesses, we operate the same way everyone else does. No one's here to put a knife in anyone's boat. Everyone's here to grow and to go. There's nothing perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone does things that they don't think through sometimes. Not the case. We're here for you. Everyone here is here because you want these people to be here. I mean, it's not easy to sit here and listen to things come through, but that goes with the terrain. So help us help you grow. Let's grow the harbor into something positive, right? You've got all the skill set, this energy, this euphoria about everything going, and everyone wants to be in Depot Bay. I just got back from Portland, and everyone says they want to go to Depot Bay, so let's capture that energy. That's what I'd like to say. All right, thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Excellent comments. Alrighty, so what's the will of the council? Should we do the draft?
I'd like to see the draft with the amendments.
Okay. Okay, so we'll table this for further discussion then?
No, I'd like to see it come back at the next meeting.
Next meeting, okay. It's the next meeting.
Give me enough time.
Well, all I'm doing is plugging in the information. I do need to know because I've heard Council Watson say $1 and Council Rex say stay with $2. What is the will of the council?
We already made a decision on the last meeting, yes.
You can always change your mind because nothing was actually motioned.
I don't want to
So
change that.
that's up to you.
It doesn't provide enough revenue, and this is difficult enough as it is. At least that's really true.
I think we should leave it at that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll table this until next meeting. Next up is the discussion on the harbor fueling station. Jeff, did you want to address that for us this evening?
Yes, please. Depot Bay City Council tasked the Harbor Commission some time ago to come up with a solution to the current costs and methods of fueling boats in Depot Bay Harbor. Years ago, before the fuel tanks were installed, the boats were fueled by a truck which ran its hose over the seawall between docks 2 and 3. Once the above-ground fuel tank and the fuel dock were installed, the boats were fueled from the fuel dispensing system on the fuel dock. In January 2011, Terry Owings, city superintendent at the time or public works director, that Brady is now, sent a letter to the Oregon State Marine Board explaining that the dispensing system was too heavy for the fuel dock, causing the dock to lift on the south side. At minus tides, the dock would sit on the harbor floor. When the system was new, the city experienced 2 fuel spills in a matter of months, resulting in the city being fined by the Coast Guard. When the system was new, well, I just said that, the fuel dispensing system was then moved up to the current location next to the fuel tanks. The system is labor intensive, requiring trained city staff to attend to the fueling operation, turning on the pumps, resetting the fuel counters, unreeling the hoses down to the fuel dock, monitoring the fueling, and going up to the harbor master office with the boat captain to complete the payment transaction for the fuel. We looked into a card lock system, which, due to a change in the state fire marshal regulations, fueling regulations, effective either the last month or this month or this year, allows cities to operate a card lock system. This could eliminate the need for city staff to monitor each fueling operation. However, in the current harbor fueling configuration, this would require a system which would allow accessing the locked fuel hose cabinet, turning on the pump, resetting the fuel dispenser counter prior to fueling the boat. There are too many necessary steps under the current system to allow a card lock system to work. We also explored having charter operations or a combination thereof take over fueling, ordering, and dispensing. They're not interested in doing so, we talked about that. The simplest system would be for the boat captain to insert his or her credit card directly into the dispensing pump, as in a gas station, enter a PIN assigned by the city staff, that's for billing purposes, and start pumping. This would require a pump similar to this one here that I'm showing you now. With the 2 hose dispensers, one diesel and one gasoline. I lost my place. Okay, yeah, right. And the one I saw at Brookings was similar to this one, but older. The one I saw at Brookings Harbor is located on a floating fuel dock, but it's not possible on our current fuel. Over the past couple of years, it appears there's no interest among young folks in summer hire job dispensing fuel in the harbor. Creating a port district, which would involve convincing property owners from north of Watercrest to Glen Beach to agree to be taxed to pay for the creation of a port district in Depoe Bay Harbor. While this idea has been tossed around before, in my opinion, it is highly unlikely to happen. It also will not, should it happen, it will take years to get to that. Leasing out the harbor fueling operation has so far not generated any local interest. Possible expanding the search beyond the local area might generate some interest. When I met with the port manager at Brookings Harbor, he told me that the fueling operation barely broke even. It was a convenience for the harbor users. Now, Brookings Harbor is a much larger operation than ours. It's not as, it's located along the Checko River, inland a little bit from the harbor. Maybe you should acquire me because I knew in Oregon, many new people around. In conclusion, there is no viable alternative to the current fuel operation. Shutting down the fuel operation is really not an option. That's a summary of a lot of work that we've done. I'd be glad to answer any questions or try to clarify anything.
Thank you so much for all your work there. Well, yeah, but you went to Brookings, you've already been involved for a long time too, but thank you, that was incredible. A lot of work summarized.
So I know y'all try, but have you had, the boat captains and the charter people come to your meetings and give ideas on how we can make
The
this?
board captains have come to the meetings and, discussed this at some point.
Okay.
But, if, we did not come up with a solution during those meetings. And
So,
that's not to say that the board captains didn't have ideas.
but the harbor commission is convinced, like many of us, that the fuel station is going nowhere. We're gonna have a fuel station, so chill out, right?
Yes,
Okay, so
but
that's
there
a
is
given,
no,
so
there is no option.
okay, but how it's run, so did we actually go out with an official RFP on that?
No, the simple reason being, we do not have enough volume to probably attract anybody. I know that our public works supervisor has also spoken with Carlson at some point, and they said, no, we wouldn't be interested at all.
There's not enough volume
Yeah.
for both
Just
states.
Well, you know, and it would be really helpful to me if I could understand, I always like to tell people like Chris that I really appreciate when he comes to me with numbers, like, this is how much it costs and this is how much, that's, is really helpful. To know whether or not the self-fueling thing has worked out good for folks, I mean, heck, if that works out good, let's encourage it, but, is it saving them money, is it costing them money? I don't want numbers
I
or
would
people or
imagine,
anything.
I don't know, but I
Yeah.
would imagine that they wouldn't be doing it if they weren't saving money.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's something to look at, something to consider.
So, go ahead.
No, go you first.
I was just gonna say that, so I heard you say that fueling is, not having a fuel station is not an option.
Right.
If they didn't have one, where would they go?
That's it. There'd be no option except to go to Newport.
Right.
Or up to Garibaldi, I think, and that is,
And so the challenge that we run into constantly is, well, you're charging 60 cents a gallon more than we can get it elsewhere. And you're never open when we need you to be open. And I mean, those are the challenges that we need to try to overcome if the city wants to operate a fueling station. And we have to be profitable. We can't give the gas away. And I think now that the grant is done, the city needs to also be aware that we're now responsible for all of the costs associated with that. Replacement of the equipment, replacement of the structures, the tank maintenance, all of those things become capital costs on an aging set of infrastructure that we now have to start factoring into what's it going to cost per gallon to fuel your boat. And so, I think the cost that we have now is high, but if we start factoring in all of those other things, I don't know how it can be tenable. That's the challenge is, if the boat captain saw $6.50 a gallon for gas, they wouldn't buy it anyway. So I don't know what the middle ground is. I agree. I think we need to have a fueling station. I just don't know if the city needs to be in the fueling business. And maybe we do cast a wider net and we try to find somebody from outside our local area that wants to do a fuel station or, somehow brings it into their network of fuel stations and they can buy volume pricing and be able to get it here. I don't know, but I see this as becoming much more of a problem down the road than we are gonna have a solution to be able to fix it. And we already run into a deficit. So we've got to come up with a capital plan to be able to maintain all that stuff at the same time that we're trying to provide a service. And so, I think it goes beyond the current pricing and the complaints about hours and operation. I think we need to be thinking a little longer term as well.
There's one more thing I want to add. That's our emergency fuel supply. If something goes down in this town, that's one of our areas that we can get fuel. That should qualify us for an emergency funding system somewhere in the Senate possibly, because that's a criteria. If we have that emergency, we have no fuel, our police and fire have nowhere to fuel, that's the tank they're gonna go to.
if the Coast Guard's tank fails, they also.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Coast Guard has their own fueling,
Yeah,
however,
but, yeah,
if it goes
Or
down, we
that.
do have an agreement with that, so I understand.
it's a backup for that.
Maybe if you want larger tanks, would that help the cost?
It's
Well,
the
the
use.
thing is,
You
if you have a larger tank, it's gonna take up more space there.
Right.
You gotta come up with money for it. I doubt if the grant that just expired, if the Green Board is gonna be interested in something like that right now. So there's nothing in the short term.
So I'm looking at these revenues that, I sort of put together. And, I think because of the self-fueling, the revenues versus the expenses, we were in 22-23, we had positive like 14,000. 23-24, we had like a positive 12,000, we're rounding up, of course, 11,700. In 23-24, but in 24-25, we only had $1,800 of revenue over expense. So it's been going down from 14,000 to 12,000 to 2,000 essentially. And we're gonna be losing money this year alone. So, and I don't see, we could put out an RFP, but people will have to, I mean, people are not gonna be interested in taking on this fueling if they don't have enough volume. And self-fueling, I think there's 4 boats self-fueling now. Those are large boats. And who's gonna take on this, with very little revenue generation? So if we put out an RFP, I think this doesn't account for the self-fueling volume because they're not really paying anything. So we have to put out the RFP saying, if you come in to pump, we will guarantee you that we won't have any self-fueling. You'll have all the business in the harbor. And even that, so over time we phase if we get another person to come in to run it, we'd have to phase out the self-fueling so they would have enough volume to maybe make a profit. So it's kind of scary, where we are, and like the lack of, again, rainy day fund for fuel pumps, for being able to not have leaks all the time. And I haven't even thought of the emergency fueling thing, Joe, so there might be grants, but in general, our revenues are going down, and I don't know how we're gonna continue. And the user fee that we just talked about doesn't even have a rainy day fund for our dock replacement versus, and in addition to this fueling station cost. So I'm at a loss to, thank you for looking into it, I just don't know what to suggest that's helpful here.
Well, one thing, even if we do find somebody outside that is willing to do that, the price has to be reasonably competitive.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, I don't own a boat, but if I did, I wouldn't pay that price, I'd go against it.
All right, so for those that are here in the audience, in 24-25, the harbor fuel income was $231,000. And it actually cost us to buy the fuel, just the fuel, $198,000. So there's a very slim margin on fuel as it is, and then you have to throw in payroll costs and liability insurance and maintenance and all of the stuff that goes with that. And that's where last year we made literally $1,800, which if we had one spill, $1,800 wouldn't even come close to paying for a spill down there. So we have no rainy day fund to be able to clean it up. So I'm with Councilor Reck. I don't know how or where we can even fine tune this to make it tenable.
Well, I mentioned that Brookings barely breaks even, and I'm sure that's true in most of the ports and harbors along the coast. It's not a money-making deal. It is primarily a convenience. But it's a necessary convenience, because we have the boat captains have no option. If they have to go down to Newport or up to Garibaldi and then back again, that round trip takes up the fuel, and I don't know how much, but it doesn't help at all.
And you said the charter companies are not interested in.
When we
taking-
talked with them, they were not interested in taking over the
Do you wanna take any public comment after you're
Yes.
finished torturing Mr. Bernard?
Absolutely.
Did you really use that word?
I did.
God, it's recorded and everything.
I appreciate your questions.
It's good for him.
Jack and I spent hours.
Oh, you guys, I watch your
looking
meetings.
at this and trying to figure it out, and
It's,
I understand what you're saying, but it is a convenience that we're offering, it's part of
No, I get
what
that.
we do. And I don't wanna say shut down, and, I think we need to keep working on it. And I think that we will, and keep.
I wanna
pushing
see
forward.
some suggestions come in from the people that either are using it or why they're not using it. I mean, just to sit around and complain and tell lies about it doesn't work.
Well, it'd be nice to have everyone use the facilities.
historically, the city has never made money off of fuel operation.
Well, so
I don't care how you do
you
it.
can see that. It's-
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, not just since they put the tanks in. It's just, it's
Yeah.
never been a tenable operation.
I think we all agree we need to keep the fueling dock.
That's a given.
That rumor maybe can be just so out.
Thank you for all your time on that.
Yes,
You're
absolutely.
welcome. Like I say, it's a team effort,
Appreciate it. You
and
need a new
most,
hobby.
most or if not all of you know how to find it if you have any.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack.
Mayor, did you wanna open it up?
Yeah.
I'll open it up for any other public comments
Carrie,
now.
Carrie, do you still want to know?
Yes. Back and back on?
Yeah, sure, please, yeah. And you don't have to sign it.
Okay. So this is Carrie Mill again. Jack, I know how much work you did. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well,
As the major user of gas, by far,
Yes.
couple things that I would recommend, and what was done this year, which helped tremendously, is changing the hours, making the hours longer, having them, later in the day. A lot of times, my folks don't get back in until 4 or 5 o'clock. And if they were closed, at 2:30 or 3:30, I mean, trying to fit fueling in between, other boats trying to fuel and having, 20 minutes between trips, practically impossible. I mean, there's been times I've had to pump gas cans, various times. So, number one, having those hours flexible for the captains. Finding out from the captains what they would like. What would be the optimal times that you would like to fuel? Because if they said, say for example, take 3:30 to 6 every day, that would cut down their payroll. Because now, they're running, fishing boats are running in the morning, they're doing whale watching in the afternoon, we're running all day. That way, later in the day, if we knew we had, 2.5, 3 hours late in the day to fuel, then that would alleviate, like I said, some of the payroll and also be, convenient for us. I mean, it is a pain trying to go somewhere else. And I mean, I'd say that would be number one. I would try that for a year. I would try, being flexible and I'd be more than glad to meet with the captains. I'd be more than glad to do that and finding out what would work. Now, the other thing that Jack had said, if that wasn't working, maybe, insert a card into, the machine, that could be doable. Again, it gives you flexibility. The big thing is about flexibility. And, I mean, I just really would appreciate, the listening, and it appears that all of you are listening to this, and
And I am disheartened at times too, when I feel that, you know, we're not heard. And so anyhow, I would love to be able to, you know, not only help with the fuel in any small way I can help, but also now that I'm done working myself, my last trip was yesterday, that I'd like to readdress the user fees and see some other ways that we could generate other income that way. I have ideas. So I think now that, you know, we're getting to the end of the season, we're freed up. I mean, I'm exhausted after running all day in the ocean. I guess the last thing I wanna do is come into a meeting and talk. But now that, you know, we're getting a little more sleep and everything else, you know, it's easier. So I think it would be pertinent, for both the dock, the fueling, and the user fees to have another meeting, you know, and open it up, and I'd be more than glad to go to every single captain and say, hey, let's come up with some ideas. Because if we don't come up with ideas, this is what they're gonna do. And, you know, and you heard the say, I mean, everyone's, you know, pretty much for the charters, and so it would be nice to be able to combine everything, to mesh everything, so there's not this dissension between the public and the council, which I see now. I would love to be able to bring everything together, and I think some meetings coming up, in October, November, I think that would be excellent. And feel free to ask me to do whatever you like. Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up. And any other public comments? Oh, yes, ma'am. No, you're fine.
So I didn't actually prepare a speech for this part, but I wanted to address something. There's a reason why the charter community has a hard time speaking up in these things. And I really appreciated your comments about coming up with solutions, and because you feel like when I talk to you, I feel like you're listening to other members in this staff, particularly Councilor Sovereign. You've made comments today calling us liars. I mean, these comments are completely and totally inappropriate. I wasn't even gonna say anything today, but then you sat here and you just said, instead of making up lies, comments like that have no business on city council. That is not professional or ethical. How do you expect us to trust you? To have and work together as a team, unitely, when you make comments like that? You lose all credibility and trust from me because you just called me a liar. You were talking about charters at the time, fueling, captains showing up or not showing up, making suggestions. And this is one of several comments that this council specifically.
Personal attack, yeah.
They're not personal attacks, they're facts. You just stated that today. It was on
There's a
public
lot of
record.
misinformation on Facebook.
This,
Please don't
I'm not
attack
talking
her.
about Facebook, and I'm not talking specifically to you. I'm just using your comment today as an example of why there's mistrust and hostility. No one wants that. But it's hard for the charter and the public to work with the council when they feel like they are being targeted. And that is a prime example of why we feel that.
Okay, you made your point.
Okay,
I think
so
everyone agrees to it.
Great.
We empathize with your statement.
Okay, and I just have one more other thing I'd like
Okay,
to
but-
say, and I do still have time.
You have, you know, overall, we appreciate what you have to say, but step it up, you know, and we agree.
Right, and we would love to, but here, you guys scheduled these meetings, like Carrie pointed out, during the peak of our season. I work 7 days a week from March through October, I'm almost done, but it's every single day. And we're exhausted, we don't get days off. And when you schedule these meetings, it's really hard for us to attend. Coming here tonight is exhausting, preparing for this is exhausting. I go back to work tomorrow, we don't get days off. So yeah, if you want more participation, like Carrie mentioned, scheduling these things when we can actually attend would really help. Because we care about the harbor, we want it to sustain itself. But also it's really important that we go about this lawfully in a legal way, because it's really concerning some of the things that we've seen. You can call it whatever, we can revisit it later, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of legal issues here. And I just like us to not go down that path if we can and work together. And in order to do that, we have to be able to have trust in our city council. And comments like that really make it difficult.
We understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Riley. Any other public comments on this?
Madam Mayor, can I ask staff if we have pricing on the fuel information that Jack shared? Do we have any pricing on what the pumps would cost to put a pump down there that could be used by them with a card? Did he provide any pricing to you?
Jack, I don't think you provided us any pricing, did you?
No, I did not, no, I don't know how much that particular one cost, but thinking, if I can explain a little bit more on that. What I was looking at was putting the pump on the fuel dock, which would have to replace the fuel dock. See, there's nothing that can happen without spending money. And that,
Right.
the city doesn't have it to begin.
Right, but if it's an emergency fueling alternative, there may be some money available. I think we should investigate that. And when you look at the numbers here, a good portion of the numbers are labor numbers. And so to eliminate the labor would make the fuel problem be less of a problem. And so if self-fueling with their own card and
Yeah, and you want to look at it too, piggybacking it with something else.
piggyback to get, with an emergency kind of a thing, that might be a way to solve that
Because it's a
problem.
loser, so we need to make it a winner.
Look at the price and the, real income, right? There's so little difference between the price that we can, so yeah, labor is some part, of just a second, stuff. But I'm not seeing that that's gonna solve the problem. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just like to say that, looking at labor, and you're absolutely correct, that is one of our biggest costs. Instead of having our top man pumping the fuel that's getting paid full benefits, we need to hire somebody that's, a minimum wage person and write about that.
We'll try again
I
this
will
season,
find-
but we were not able to find one and we tried.
I'm saying there's gonna be a huge savings for you right
Guess I
there.
have to stop talking.
You gotta do too, but I'm just saying that I think I'll go find some kids, it could be a really fun, job for them, and, get the hours.
I'm holding you to that.
And I think that's gonna cut down that cost incredibly.
As long as everybody that pumps fuel is trained in the safety and to
You
prevent
you
spills.
have to be, yeah.
Oh, they would.
Yeah, but, I just, think that's, to me, that's right off the top of my head, a big
But
savings.
look at those numbers, Liz, it's not gonna make that big much of a difference.
Well, when you're not paying full benefits.
Yeah, but it's something,
Somebody that's,
I know, but it's something, but it's not a lot.
well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I just wanna say one thing, as you, commented, we all need to look for any way we can cut some money, and I think that's one way that we can. This is a thought.
We certainly have tried.
Yeah. We are trying.
Chris, did you have a comment this evening? Chris?
Chris Schaffner, if you'd like to unmute and speak, you are up.
Must be break time.
Unless I unmuted any, but
Just tell him to.
Okay, we'll move on then. Was there anybody else?
Let me check the chat to see if anyone's.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, okay, thank you.
Hello?
Yes, Chris, go ahead, we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me now? Sorry, I had to push another button. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, guys, so back to this fueling thing. I know it's getting late, so I'll try to keep this quick. But what it really comes down to, and what we've found in our research that I've spent, I don't know how many hours researching this and running numbers, but it basically comes down to cost allocation and how you guys are allocating people's time towards the harbor. So I'd like to read something here real quick for you, and I'll go through it as fast as I can. There is a lot of numbers in here, so if you hear something you like, write it down. But I would like to ask the current council to do an in-depth review of the factual costs associated with the operation of the Depoe Bay fuel dock and present those data-driven findings to the public. There has been significant frustration shared by both the city and harbor users regarding this important resource. I believe there is once again the opportunity to come together by acknowledging the true operational cost, then moving forward with an equitable solution. The single largest point of contention in this allocation of time used to operate the fuel dock by the harbor master and city staff. In years past, the overhead allocated to the fuel dock was 0.5 or half a minute of the harbor master labor wage per gallon pump. This ratio tied a direct correlation between fuel used and time spent. This allocation included associated costs for both harbor master and city labor overhead. Based on 61,000 gallons pumped at today's harbor master wage of $44.23 per hour, inclusive of benefits, that would result in an overhead of $22,483. To rationalize how the 0.5 or half a minute per gallon far exceeds actual time spent at a flow rate of 8 gallons per minute, for 61,000 gallons, the actual fill time would be 127 hours, or a labor cost of $5,620. Add in 10 minutes per transaction with the 600 transactions per year, and this adds $4,423. Total time for fueling and transactions equate to $10,043. The pass rate of half per minute of the, I lost my place here. Hold on. I'm trying to go fast. Let me start over. The pass rate of 0.5 per minute wage per gallon slightly more than doubles the actual labor used, creating a labor bank for tank fueling, filter changes, etc. In comparison, the 2021 cost the city of Depoe Bay allocated to the fuel dock and labor associated with the harbor master was $35,012, and other city workers of $28,964, for a total of $63,976. This represents an allocated and arbitrary cost increase from 0.36 per gallon to $1.05 per gallon, just in labor with no basis or reason that has ever been given. Of the costs noted by the city, the allocated overhead for the harbor master and other city staff have not been reviewed to my knowledge. Every harbor user is aware that the percentage of time the harbor master uses for fueling is very minimal part of his daily routine. Records demonstrate how little over the course of the year the fuel dock is actually used. When this issue was raised in 2020, the end result was that the city acknowledged they did not have to give a rationale nor justify how they allocated time of workers. It is the right of the city to arbitrarily assign costs, regardless if there is merit for such allocation. I believe it would be appropriate and a sign of good faith for the city of Depoe Bay to do a full review of the true costs associated with the fuel dock so that reasonable pricing and assertions of cost overruns might be addressed. The harbor users would very much like to feel that they are being treated fairly and not burdened by cost allocations not associated with resources such as the fuel dock. The end.
Thank you, Chris.
And you did it within 5 minutes.
Oh, good. So Chris, on the website is the full draft of what we're looking at this evening. And there is a full accounting of our income and fuel expenses on page, no, I just lost. 39. So.
No, I'm aware of that, but what I'm saying is it's just the time that you guys are actually allocating towards the fuel dock. I mean, there's no way that that place will ever make money, or the harbor itself. I think that's a lot of our problem is allocation of time pointed at the harbor and the fuel dock specifically. I mean, if we actually took an in-depth review, like I just stated, and actually looked at what's going on with that fuel dock, I think we could find some things that would help it generate revenue, which is what we all want.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I don't see anybody else with their hand up online, and I apologize for missing you earlier, Chris, I just missed seeing you. But I don't see anybody else.
So what is staff looking for here? What are we trying to,
Well,
just a
we're gonna
recommend, a
do we
determination?
agree we're going to do the RFP?
I don't know, do you wanna do the RFP? It's a,
I wanna explore any option.
I mean, what do you want? What do you want to do? Cause it is work, so I just wanna make sure that you understand. We may be
When
doing
was
a
the-
lot of work for nothing,
So,
unless we go, but I don't know how far.
so, I'm sorry, can I clarify with Brady? When did you last meet, Carson was recent, right, near local? Local. Who else would we go to? Tell me.
There is one other company.
We did it.
Right.
And
And
then
the
we'd have to put how much people who are self-fueling, we have to add those gallons in because it won't be enough to make it attractive to anybody.
I don't know what the people who self-fuel their gallons, I can't give
Well, we
you that
know from the
information.
past because they were using the fuel truck,
I
right?
don't think we can say safely that whatever we used in the past is what's being used now. We're gonna have to give them what we are currently using, I wouldn't want to try to give them anything else.
There was issues with the larger tankers being through the harbor. also.
That too, I've heard that. But I'm happy, it's ready, happy to go out and do it, I just, unless I know where to cast my net besides Tillamook.
We already have an RFP, right?
Right,
We've
it's
already
ready,
built
yeah,
it.
and so if I don't know who else to cast it to. I can cast it to Tillamook, but that's only one other one.
It's worth a try.
I won't, yeah, what I'll do is I'll simply send it to them and let them respond to it without incurring the cost of spreading the wire nets.
DJC?
Again, my question is that how much money do you wanna spend on doing an RFP? When I only know, and only other people have told me, was Sheldon Oil out of Tillamook. If people have other ideas, let's throw it out there, I'm happy to do that, but my question is, how much do you wanna spend?
Not a lot. So maybe just send out the.
I can send it right to Sheldon, I can do it directly, and see what, we can start there. Then I suppose what you can do is we can start there, and if they say no, and you still wanna go out and cast a wider net, we'll do the DJC.
Jack has that input, good, yeah.
The two companies are Carson and Sheldon up in Tillamook. There are other companies that say they provide fuel on the coast. But they're the bigger companies that probably provide fuel to X company that provides some, and then eventually it gets to Carson, and then it gets to Sheldon. So in the actual fuel distribution for the city, we are limited in where we can go.
Thank you.
Yeah, like the big fuel trucks you see at the gas stations, they can't maneuver those down into the harbor.
Yeah, no, you can't do a tandem, or you couldn't even leave a trailer.
Oh, just to, if I might, Mayor, just to clarify, Carlin, our deputy, is listening, and she said that, I've forgotten, she spoke to Sheldon, that they're only interested in supplying fuel, not leasing. And Carson's not interested
We
in
know that, we
leasing,
wanna know
so.
what the fuel price would be.
Right, but the original RFP was to look at both those options, so I'll change it to remove the lease option. Unless Sheldon's already not interested in, so I'll just do it
Well,
for money.
if they're gonna get us the fuel for less, that means we make more, or could potentially make more. So I would say, yeah, if they're gonna be able to provide the fuel for less, we certainly should do that.
We don't know that yet, the
Right.
prices, the last time our board, past harbor master, they weren't all that much different, but they were a little bit lower than Parsons, so we can see what they look like now. This may be the bad time, gas is still like $4.09. Remember the pipeline failure? I don't know if this is a good time, but we can find out.
I do know that Sheldon's like 25 cents less than Carson. But we may have the risk of losing Carson, because Carson's so much closer.
Right, that's the other thing. Sheldon cannot respond as fast as Carson.
Yeah, and if we take Carson's business away, we may not be able to get it back.
Right.
Well, we'll just get the information.
Points,
and
maybe.
Yeah, but that's a concern.
Yeah.
That it is 25 cents less from Sheldon.
Okay, what is the will of the council this evening?
To get the information. I don't think we've decided we're gonna shut down the fuel system, so, I mean, ultimately, we've got to come up with ideas to make it, cost effective. You know, if we can look at somehow getting equipment in there that will make it so they can sell fuel, if there's a public-private partnership where we can have them staff it and hire the people to staff it, and we provide the facility for them to do that. I mean, I think we should look at all of those kinds of things.
Okay. Any other comments? So we'll table this also until further discussions.
I understand my next step is to go to Sheldon.
Yes.
And then I will bring that back to you, and then you will take it from there. So we can probably get that information by the next meeting.
Oh,
Is that why?
thank you, Kim. And we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Thank you. Okay, we're back online.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a request for an Oil City liquor license from Sake Sushi. And I believe, are you here?
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
patiently waiting.
Thank you for waiting. It's been a long evening. Do you want to come up and address this? Looks like it's just, retail. And did you have any questions for us? Because it's pretty well evident that it looks good to me, so I would just recommend a motion from the council to accept the application as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the application from Sake Sushi as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good job, good job. You are good to go.
Thank you
Sign that
for
in the morning and-
Yes, and, thank you for the delicious food.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
We love your restaurants.
Yes, very much so.
Where's he from?
You are good to go.
Thank you.
We'll send you your approval tomorrow, or we'll send it out, so you don't have to stay anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Okay.
And you were the only person that made me laugh the whole night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have an encroachment on Elixir Street. Kim, would you enlighten us on this?
I don't know both Gardners, but Jill Gardner, one of the property owners, is there. After we sent the enforcement letter out, her and her husband came in and brought me some paperwork and showed the history of the property. They also shared with me that on many occasions they'd come before, or at least 2 occasions that I was able to find them to come. His father's father, so his grandfather they showed me some pictures. So really, it's the council's decision on whether or not they are coming with the idea of vacating the part of the portion of the property. I'm sorry, I didn't get a drawing to you ahead of time, but it basically, I'm sure that Jill could explain it more, but it goes across and it kind of cuts off. So it follows the line of the fence in the parking lot. Jill, am I saying that right, you guys? I don't wanna quote you wrong on where the property line you're thinking is, but it would vacate just a portion of that is one idea. That was one of the things they wanted to see if the council would be willing to consider. They talked about, being allowed to do it, but then they want something that's a little more solid, so they don't have to, one of those things settled down forever, so they don't have to keep coming back every 10 years when a council changes and getting the property done. That was the reason why they suggested the partial vacation of the property. That's absolutely correct, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, sorry, this is Keith and Jill Gardner on the internet
Yes.
thing.
Thank you for being here. Did you want to speak about this to the council?
Well, what we want to say basically is we've been dealing with this issue for a long time, and we would really love to settle it and not have to deal with it again. My husband's grandfather and grandmother owned the house for a number of years, and when they got too old to live there anymore, she turned it into a nightly rental, which has been that way since then. But what we've done is we've tried to keep it in the house, so in the family, so that the family can continue to use it and have wonderful memories in Depoe Bay like they did when the grandparents lived there. And so, yes, we are hoping that the council will agree that if we can move the fence a little to give you a little more of a viewing area there with another bench, and then but then you would vacate, I understand that's the proper term, vacate the rest of the property, and then it would come back to us as the adjacent property owner. My apology, I forgot that they did suggest moving the fence closer to the house and then, so that the spot, the piece would be smaller, that they.
Right, rather than taking the whole, which is right now the whole yard, try to find a happy medium.
So, Mayor,
Yes.
I feel very, very strongly about this issue. You cannot, take public land, by using it. And, you know, for years and years, the gardeners have made use of very valuable public property. I fought this battle on North Point. I was on the planning commission, and property owners came all on North Point and said, we want to vacate your public land. So, and that it was a public right of way. And if you go out on North Point now, you see how valuable public oceanfront land is. And you can't replace it. Essentially, the gardeners have been taking public property for 50 years, you know, and blocking it off for their customers. This is public property. I am adamantly opposed to vacating the property. They already use the right of way for their customers parking, you know, in front of their driveway. They can still continue to do it because everybody thinks it's a driveway, but we don't have to vacate to allow them to continue using their parking, quote, their parking spaces. But I am not at all in favor of giving away valuable public property and vacating it. It's just, people use this area and use it well, and they could use more of it. That whole green space is green space. It's oceanfront green space. And our laws say to and along that you would have to replace oceanfront property if you have to provide same access to and along. And it isn't the same if it would be vacated. And I just feel so strongly, I know they didn't mean harm, but they've known for years they've been squatting on public property. And it just needs to stop. We've asked for years. When you were on the planning commission, you asked for years. So anyway, that's how I feel.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, I'd urge everybody to go walk down there. You can see where they've recently surveyed it and how much of it is on public land. And that's such a popular place for people to come watch the ocean. It's always crowded. It would really be wonderful if there was more space there for the public to enjoy that pristine location.
I agree, I did go down there today and looked at the markings and the fenced off area, and it really isn't, even though this has been going on a long time, I don't think it's fair to take that area from the public. I've seen people wait for a turn on the bench that's there. Yeah, I've seen people wait for turns. So I would like to see all of that grassy area available to the public again, personally.
Yes.
And I was on the Parks Commission back when this first came up, and I feel really bad for you, I know how you feel. I live on a right of way too that I'd love to have vacated, but that's not gonna happen, I'm not even gonna ask. But I feel worse because the city didn't act on it back in 2000 whatever when we first brought it up. We were tasked with looking at all of the little right of ways all over town and creating little park spaces and maybe a walking path. We did a lot of that then, a lot of that's been done since then. But the philosophy of staff back then, none of which is here today, it was that, oh, it's too much trouble. If I have them, if we make them vacate, we're gonna have to make all the people on North Point vacate. And so because somebody didn't want to deal with it way back when, it didn't get dealt with, and that's not okay. It really is public land, it's unfortunate. The good news is your customers can still use it. I mean, and we're certainly not gonna take your parking spots away, but we just need to get rid of the fence and maybe put another bench or a picnic table or something in there. It is a very well-used spot. I drive by it every day and look, and it's so pretty. It's a valuable piece of property. And honestly, you don't wanna pay property taxes on it anyway, because that's what would probably happen. So it's like,
We wouldn't mind paying property taxes on it, but we just are concerned a little bit about the safety of the home. And the home was built where it's at based on somebody else's decision. We didn't build, you know, Grandma and Grandpa didn't build the house. And, but it's right, right there. And for all this time, we've been told, it's okay, just, you know, keep using it. So we've maintained it all these years. We've taken care of this property all these years. And it just seems all that's for nothing for us. You know, we're not asking you to vacate the entire area. We're asking you to vacate enough so that we still have a little bit of space, some space separating our home from a public land. And we're willing to pay for a bench or 2 benches if that's what you want to put in that space. But I mean, there's not that much space there for too much. And there's the whole issue of the not the seawall. There's a rock wall on the seaside of it, and you know we're concerned about people, just like you were concerned earlier about some signage to tell people, hey, there's rocks around here and be careful. So, what kind of security is the city willing to take care of to make sure that nobody falls off that edge?
You know, the city has paved around the property at least twice, and even painted a fog line indicating where the road ended. So we believe that the property was separate from the road, and we maintained that property for over 50 years. And when the property was bought, there was a fence there to begin with. It just wasn't painted. We were trying to work with the city. We met with Kimberly, and we tried to come up with a workable solution for both parties.
How much land were you asking to vacate?
I mean, if you're familiar with the site, there's the lawn, the front lawn between the house and the fence. If we were to have, you know, come in 3 or 4 feet, which would kind of basically split the difference there. And then on the north side would be still within the city thing. You could just put a couple of benches there, which we'd be happy to pay for, if that helps. And then you would vacate on the house side in that same strip of area.
There is buried utilities under that lawn too,
right.
So
there's, yeah.
All the more reason to keep it in city possession.
So can I ask staff, we're talking about page 55, right?
Yes.
So that is the outline, and the line around the Gardner house, looks like the lot line actually touches the roof line of the house right there, is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
So, and then there's the white line that extends out, and there's a 40 there, that's where the fence is right, that white line?
Yeah.
And so, we're really talking about pretty much a 0 lot line structure, there was no,
absolutely.
there was no, lot lines at all at that time. And so that car that's parked there is actually parked on public right of way.
Right.
Okay. Now I understand what we're talking about, thank you.
So I'm prepared to make a motion. Are you going to do
we
it?
need one, because wasn't it?
No, the recommendation was, for the staff was to,
Initiate vacation.
initiate a vacation with the planning commission. And I would like to make a motion that the city does not ask the planning commission and not initiate any vacation action, and make it clear that the public right of way here will stay as a public right of way.
I think we should be generous a little bit and give them a couple of feet.
No, there's no.
From the side of their house. I mean, that's right.
There's a lot of lot line, 0 lot line structures. You know, they're customers use the public parking spaces, they are already using the property and utilizing the right of way, and they can continue using the right of way.
But I could see their point about not having any room there at all.
What do they need room for?
For security. I would like to have, you know, a couple of plants or something along there for, you know, to block off the home, that type of thing. I don't know. But it just makes sense to have a few feet available for them to have some security.
If the public is going to be in that area that's now fenced off, I do think 1 or 2 feet for them to put a barrier.
They could put the fence along their house there.
No, they can't. It's on a
No.
zero.
There's a door there.
On the lot line.
It's right
No,
on
the-
the, it's
the
right
lot
on the
line.
lot line.
No.
So I do think they would have to protect their property. They don't need a lawn that belongs to the city, but they do need some sort of divider. If we're gonna have more people sitting on benches there, we don't want people throwing trash on their house or anything like that.
No,
Dogs
that's
go in
what
there.
You know,
Dogs go in there like that.
Exactly. I would be willing to give them 2 feet.
I don't wanna go through the whole vacation process.
I wouldn't either. Not
If I might suggest, this is not gonna make me a favorite person right now, but there is also something that Carla pointed out to me today called a right of encroachment. It's a simple document that they sign, we sign, that says we're giving them the okay. We're giving them the okay to encroach on the property. We can set time limits, give them reviewed. It doesn't give them the property, but it just gives them something. And I hadn't talked to the gardeners at this option. I wanted to run it by the council, but it has been done in the past, according to Carla. So it doesn't change property ownership. It doesn't do any of that. We can also couch it in a way that if we want them to, you know, for the piece that they'll continue to use, would be they would go under their liability insurance, which I'm sure they would be willing to do. So that is an option. You know, if the council would like to visit that, I can talk to the counters, but it's up to the council. Without going through the full vacation process.
But if we give them the right to use, then they still use the whole space, correct?
No, you can limit that, you can limit that.
1 foot.
You can limit how much space that you say they're able to use. And the thing to consider though, that if you only give them a foot, you're gonna have to put in the document about the parking, because they're gonna want something, I would want something that says,
It's a public
I'm allowed to
right-of-way.
use that parking.
It's public right of way, they can park. Unless we post no parking signs.
But I think they're gonna have to have 2 feet to be able to maintain, they can't have a painter come in and work in 12 inches of space to paint the backside of the house. We're not gonna fence it,
So,
it's completely open. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do with it, that's the Parks Commission. But I'm not proposing that we fence it, we just get rid of the fence that's there. We're not gonna block off
Okay,
the
so
entrance.
I would just, if we do that,
Yeah,
I will just tell you, people are gonna pull head in there and
That's
they're gonna
right.
park right there, looking out at the water. There, that will become a face-in parking space for people to look out if unless
Well,
you do something about it.
we can have people put lines, the staff put lines on parking spaces.
It's not a
People
parking
big
space,
rocks.
it's grass.
The grassy,
Oh, not the other grass.
They would park on the grass.
people would
People
park on the grass all day.
We put bumpers in. I mean, we do it all the time.
So we wanna change the lot from grass and put street bumpers in there?
No.
No.
Well, no, where the
fence is. I think we need to stand there and scratch our heads and talk about it with somebody that knows what the needs are and what the solution is. I don't think we can do that
Yeah, I think
necessarily
we need to
today.
come back to this.
We need to come back to
Is
it.
the front door regular cars?
No,
the
it's
front
all-
doors are on the resolve
The
side.
front door is on the Coast Avenue side.
Yes.
So what's?
No,
what's on
there's 2 front doors. There's 2 units. There's a unit upstairs and a unit downstairs. And the front door downstairs is right, I don't know what you're looking at, but
Page
it's,
55.
it is right
see
where
the
that
car?
car, in the picture that says, well, on ours,
Page-
it's
page
55.
55.
There's a car, and the front door to the house downstairs is just on the ocean side of that car that's sitting there.
Well, maybe we leave the fence on, but it becomes our fence on the, east side and open up that other fence.
Yeah, I think they need a lot more time to talk about this tonight, so.
Okay, so what
But
is,
the intent is not to vacate,
Not to
is that,
vacate.
yeah.
okay, right, so what is my direction?
Come back with a right of encroachment,
Okay.
to allow, for, no, I don't even know if we need that. Why would, I don't, what would that do?
It would give us a more of a formal document that they can hang on to that says, look, we have a formal approval from the city.
We don't,
But I'm just saying, that's what the right of encroachment is saying, that the city is giving us permission to encroach with the full knowledge it doesn't belong to us, and that the city can revoke it at any time and require them to vacate, to completely vacate that property. But it doesn't give the gardeners the full certainty a vacation would do, but it does give them something that they can hold their hat to, saying, future councils, we got the okay to do it. Of course, the council can change it at any point anyway, but it just puts a little bit.
So can I ask the gardeners how much space they would like?
Sure.
So, Jill? Yeah, so, in that drawing on page 55, how much space would you be looking for off of the corner of that house where the lot line is actually touching the corner of the house?
So in the picture that we're looking at, the fence is drawn in white.
Correct.
And then the rock wall is at a diagonal there.
Correct.
You see that? Okay, so and there's a shadow line there also of the house. You can
Correct.
kind of see it. So if we were to go just on the north side of that shadow wall, that would be less than half that we would keep and more than half that the city would keep.
No.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant encroachment.
Yeah. That's quite a bit, just a walkway with.
I don't know what else you were planning on doing with that property.
We don't have to do anything with the property, it's public property.
And there's very little of
I
it on
understand.
Post Avenue and South Point. It is precious and it needs to be preserved.
What if it was just the sidewalk width? What is
That's
it?
what I'm saying,
Just
that's
like 3 feet? Is that the sidewalk?
2 feet. No, we don't need a sidewalk, no.
But enough.
You need a sidewalk to the door.
We have a sidewalk that goes to our front door down there.
But we were saying
that-
enough, 2 feet would give you enough room to get in and out of your property there.
Is the sidewalk on public land too?
Yes.
I'm not saying
I need
put a
to see
sidewalk
it.
in,
I
I'm
need to
saying
see it
a
on
sidewalk
2
width.
Sidewalks are 4 or 5 feet, no way.
A residential sidewalk.
We need to see it in person.
He's talking width, not length, right? Width, yeah, width.
I walk down that area.
I know you do. I run into the bench a lot.
I think looking at.
Okay, so I think we're gonna table this for this evening and get more information. And we'll bring it back to our next council meeting,
But
okay?
the intent is to keep this, I want to be very clear about the intent here.
That's what we're doing.
Well, I just
We're
want
gonna
this to be
table it
in
for the
the
night.
notes.
Yes.
That the intent here is to maintain the grassy area in the public interest, in the public ownership and public use,
Okay.
except for a narrow, potentially a narrow strip allowing.
We're gonna table it for tonight. Okay, we'll come back to it. We're going on 8:30. Is there any way we can do the first reading of the ordinance lighting?
Pardon me, Mayor, with all the comments that Councilor Mazzella has, I think you should table it and bring it back to a work session, at some other point to discuss.
I think we need to address the nuisance part of it though. Because there is an immediate need, which is why it's here in front of us today.
But we can't pass the ordinance tonight.
No, but we can do something, we can direct them to staff to do something about the nuisance. I think
And if we don't have an ordinance in place, how do they do it?
Yeah, so my suggestion here is that we put it into the same ordinance where we have sound and all of that kind of stuff to address the nuisance of people shining lights into their neighbors' windows and that kind of stuff. And that this lighting ordinance go back to planning and go through technical review, open to the public for comment. It's gonna affect every single citizen, every single business in this city, and I think it's way too much for us to force through on this type of a municipal
So the
code.
problem with the nuisance ordinance, it only deals with, lights from a commercial shining into residential.
Yeah, but why can't we change the nuisance ordinance to say that it's
amending that.
by amending the nuisance ordinance as opposed to trying to put a whole lighting technical ordinance in as a municipal code? It just seems strange to me.
Well, that's gonna take public hearings.
Agreed, I think it
True.
should.
But, this has been in the works for a long time, trying to get more of a dark sky sort of ordinance. So yes, we need to take care of the nuisance, but we also need to take care of all the glare and the people putting their lights on the ocean as their property line.
So that's why we need a work session.
I would fully agree with that. I just think that it's gonna take more than just this. I mean, I looked at that ordinance and I was looking at just even the requirements for light bulbs for my house. All you can do for this ordinance is a 60-watt light bulb. And you can have 5 of them outside of your house. I have 3 chandeliers, or 3 lights in my chandelier, 2 on my deck, 2 on my garage. I'm already over the ordinance and I can't get up my house without seeing because of the restrictions on it.
Yeah.
It just needs more public comment.
Yeah.
I think so too, it's going to affect everyone.
But I think we need to address the nuisance. I
Yes.
think that we have to stop that nuisance.
This lighting issue is actually something I
Sir,
brought up.
Can you please come up and sign in? Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Madam Mayor, but
No, no.
just kicking this down the road is, I think it's problematic, and we do need to come up with a solution for the people
Absolutely,
who
I
are,
totally, we need a work session on it.
so.
Add that to your list.
Well, I guess my question is why he's filling out that form. Are we saying that you just want to kick this back to the planning commission to go through the process? Is that kind of what Councilman Sell is recommending? Or, and just try to update the nuisance code, or?
Well, let's hear the public comment first.
Hi, I'm Peter Eckert, and I live off of Pine Court.
Yes.
And this may seem like a minor issue to most of you, but if you were living where I live and you had this problem with this person pointing a strobe light at us every night, then you would probably feel differently. So, that is my complaint, that this person insists on, as soon as it's dark, he shines a strobe light directly at our windows from across the street, which is very annoying.
Absolutely.
And we've tried speaking to them, there's no speaking to them. And he does it just as a point of annoyance. So I would like to ask the council to invoke or come up with some kind of ordinance that prohibits deliberately pointing strobe lights at someone's house.
Absolutely agree, and I think that's the immediate thing that we need to fix.
Right. Okay.
I think dark sky is a much bigger discussion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So.
So apparently, this is on a vacant lot, these people own a house, which is on one lot, and a vacant lot next to it, and I've researched this in the Depoe Bay ordinances, and I've talked to Creed about it, and because it's a vacant lot, there is no ordinance against it. If it was on their house lot, there is an ordinance against it. Or if it was with a sign and a strobe light, there's an ordinance against that. But because it's a vacant lot, there's no ordinance to stop them doing
I don't
this.
know any ordinance.
Still about land use code.
Yeah, I don't know any ordinance, but yeah, no, I'm agreeing, it's just, it's awful. Yeah.
And it's not just affecting us, it's affecting the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
We have 95 and 96-year-old neighbors who are affected by this.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotta do something.
Yeah. What do
And
we
that's
do tonight?
one of the complaints I have about these people. There are other issues, and
submitted an email today, but not on time to get it on today's agenda, about them putting up permanent tenting on this vacant lot. And there's no ordinance for that either.
What can we do tonight to help Mr. Eckert?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing, okay.
We have to get this ordinance.
Actually, Madam Mayor, you and I kind of sort of discussed it, and I thought you might make a phone call
Oh, okay.
to the property owner.
Oh,
Anything you can do would be greatly appreciated.
okay.
It was worth trying.
Yes, you remember who I told you that was? Okay.
Thank you
So
for bringing it to our
even
attention.
if you make a phone call, there will be repercussions for us, I'm positive of that.
She's a very nice person. She can couch it in a way.
But you don't know these people. Well, you might. You don't want to. Thank you very much.
I know that type, Mr.
Appreciate your time and for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, we have a question.
Is this on the same issue?
Yeah, it's just a question of the light ordinance. I don't know that much about the lighting ordinance.
Do you wanna, I'm sorry, can you speak? Yeah, come up inside it.
I just wanted to know that as you move forward with this lighting ordinance, does that also include, the streetlights? Because some streetlights are shining into residences also. And so I was just wondering if, as you're talking about this issue, if you could address that as well.
Do you know that you can
Contact PUD.
contact PUD? Give them the phone number and contact PUD. If you don't get any resolution from them, then let me know.
Okay.
And we'll go after them that
They
way.
have the
but-
flat lights that don't shine out,
Yes.
they just shine down.
Yes, they are
And they do
supposed to.
replace them, I've had them replaced.
Yes,
so-
you have to.
Except if it has anything to do with the harbor lights, then they don't do a thing when it's going in.
That's the Coast Guard.
No, it's not, it's
So I contact PUD.
Contact PUD for the streetlights, right?
Yes.
I'm here in support of the strobe light.
Yeah.
I wanted to know about this at the same time.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we've got 3 bills to go here.
Thank you for your support.
$25,453. Is there a motion to accept that?
So moved.
There was public comment on this, via online. I hope somebody would call on Nathan Whitlock, please. Thank you.
For what?
For what?
The light,
general-
the
general-
light, it had to do with the lights.
Oh,
Please,
okay.
thank you, please.
Light ordinance. So I guess my name is Nathaniel Whitlock. I'm speaking on behalf of my grandfather, Dan Whitlock, but we live pretty close to Pete, not next door, but adjacent. And the strobe light was impacting, I could see it from my room, and I ended up texting Pete to see if he had noticed it, just because it was illuminating the whole front of his house. The first night I noticed it, I could see it from my room, and I was hoping it didn't impact the sleep of my grandparents. So in the morning when I woke up, I asked my grandma if she noticed it, and she said no, but she kind of sleeps away from the window because they have a glass door in that goes out onto the deck that's kind of open, and they could just see light basically. But my grandfather was bothered by it, so we ended up putting up curtains the day after that were blackout curtains. But yeah, so it is an issue, and like Pete said, there are other issues, but that's kind of out of scope. But I was just trying to back Pete up. It's definitely, and it seems very targeted and something that is unnecessary.
Yes, we will work on it. Thank you.
Yep.
July, did you have a comment?
Thank you, guys.
That was her son.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do have a comment. Because my dad is Nathan's grandfather, who lives by the property across from Pete. There's ongoing confrontation in this neighborhood from Claudia Crumb's house. She used to be a city council member, and I just like to name that publicly because her new husband is really causing some issues. And now the curtains that have been hung in my parents' room is causing issues which can cause falling to elderly humans. So yeah, I'm upset, and I wanted that on the record, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle, did you have a comment?
Yes, I was gonna say Michelle would like to speak as well. I just saw her.
Michelle? Do you want to unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the light nuisance issue. I am Pete Eckert's neighbor at 410 Southwest Pine Court, adjacent to the vacant lot in question. I would like to add that it's an extreme nuisance. And my suggestion is, when we have contacted the city about other nuisance issues such as erecting a tent and essentially living in the tent for 5 months from May through September, my suggestion to the city council is to simply add vacant lots to all of the other ordinances, because that seems to be a loophole in addressing our concerns. Thank you for your consideration. I would also like to add that I don't think it's appropriate to make a phone call to a former city council member. It seems like there's some privilege here, and it makes me extremely uncomfortable, and it doesn't make me feel like I'm equitably represented in the community. Again, thank you for your consideration.
Pardon me, Michelle, the idea is that it's going to take time to put any kind of nuisance ordinance in place to address this issue, where a friendly phone call between people who used to be on the council together might be able to solve that, in lieu, why, you know, we're still gonna do the nuisance, but the nuisance ordinance, but you're talking a few weeks out on that. If a friendly phone call would actually get this resolved tomorrow, wouldn't that be better?
With all due respect, multiple neighbors have communicated with the city administrator and Creed Eckert, and there have been conversations directly with said individual and said husband, and there has been zero resolution. And I would assert that there has been more aggression as a result of having conversations with said individual. This is our lived experience. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Alrighty, we're moving on to our.
I just want to concur with Michelle because there's
Okay, that's enough, we're done.
chalk art and everything. It's bad, really bad.
We're done, thank you. Okay, we've got.
So is there a motion on the floor about this pump?
Yes.
Oh.
It was first and second, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was seconded by Joe, moved by Mel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going ahead, guys. We're gonna pass, we've got a RAS pump, that needs to be replaced, $25,453. We've got a motion and a second. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We've got an aeration basin clean out action, capital, $13,760. Is there a motion to accept this as submitted?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the quote of $13,760. Is there discussion on the motion?
Is this new? We don't.
So it hadn't been cleaned since, and when we did the catwalk, we had to drain that area, and it hadn't been cleaned before, a little bit here and there, but not fully clean. There's a lot of debris down there.
Yeah, there's
And
some
there's
tomato
not
plants,
tomato
anybody
plants
want
grown.
tomato plants, tomatoes?
But in order for, when the rains start, we're gonna start utilizing that digester again, it's full of debris. So we have to, and it's a lot, so we have to have it vacuumed out because it's so far down, it's almost
And it makes
40
sense to
feet
have it
down.
done.
Why is it?
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, this is in budget, right?
Yeah.
We'll just use it out of our maintenance budget or something?
I was gonna say, the aeration basin project is not in the budget, but the plant maintenance is in the budget.
So that's.
Yeah, it's Peter and Paul's.
Will we be okay leaving that offline, the additional time it takes to clean it up?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't
we
think.
have tried to schedule the guys just as soon as we get like tomorrow, we're gonna try to schedule them to get down from sale.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We've got a screw press pump for $11,983.50. There are 3 quotes on it, and they're recommending to go with the one with 20
No, this isn't a motion, we've already bought it.
Oh, we already have.
This is to tell you we had to move forward with that one I told you about, that's all this is.
I saw this processing, it was, yeah.
Yes, I try to keep you informed.
Thank you. Okay, catwalk replacement project, is that paid, done then? Do we need a motion on that?
That is done, this pays it out.
Okay, pays it up, $5,770.10. Okay, city staff project
Do we need to
updates.
approve
That one you do need to approve. Look at the action item, Madam Mayor. If I put action on there, we need action.
All right, is there a motion to accept this amount?
Approve it.
Approve
$5,717.
Yeah.
And that'll put a bow on it.
I move that.
A second.
So moved and seconded to accept the catwalk replacement project final payment request of $5,717. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Project updates from staff. Any updates on that? Okay.
I don't think I have anything new to add.
Okay.
I told you about the 2 grants we got, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a request for I guess that's not staff, but you oversee him. He puts on some of them just like the tax lot number and not the rest of things. So if that could be, just so we know when there's a development permit, which it is, without having to go to the city's tax maps and the county's tax maps, that would be helpful.
Okay.
I got real quick, the crosswalk flags, we're gonna remove them during storms, storms.
Perfect.
And we'll put them back after.
Yeah, so make sure you understand, they were already being whirligigs. We don't really wanna lose them, so when we have bad weather, we may take them down in January and February anyway, we're not gonna have enough tourists to worry about.
Yeah.
I called thinking they'd blown all away.
Oh, no, but they were gonna.
Oh, dear, that's great. Okay, closing public comments?
I'm not seeing any hands up.
Okay, council comments. Any council comments?
I had one, I spoke to about this earlier. We went through a huge deal with, and controversy about the crab pots. And then it came up again in the Harbor Commission meeting, and Kim was gonna contact the engineers and ask questions. I'm done with talking about crab pot storage for a while, so I would just ask that the council, also make sure that, we don't spend money on the engineer to look at something I don't even want to revisit right now.
If the council concurs and directs me to tell the Harbor Commission we will spend no more money on this crab pot discussion, I am happy to do that.
For a while, at least.
Don't they go
Just
into
do it.
dormancy during summer anyway, the crab pots?
Well, yeah, but
Christmas Day.
the idea is that if there was a time to discuss it and solve the issue possibly in their mind before the new season, this would be the time to discuss it. So if you don't wanna have any more time, staff, whatever on this, then I need direction from you.
So
And you have a harbor commissioner here.
has our engineer not already determined what the correct number of crab pots would be and where they're placing things?
Right.
Yeah.
The question was asked if the crab pot rate of the current amount, not any new ones, just the same amount that was approved, could be distributed, but you have the harbor commissioner who asked for that right here.
But
If you
the
want to
whole
get clarity
point
on
is,
it.
we didn't want the public and the crab pots to be in close proximity.
Well, there was that as well, correct. That's
So,
why the free.
you know, okay, so,
The question that we wanted asked of the engineer was, how many crab pots could be put on the dock sections east of the 3 western dock sections? That was it. It didn't require an engineering study. It did not require any additional cost. It was a simple, this amount or
but we
nothing.
don't,
That was the question.
I know, but we just spent a huge amount of time and energy, people yelling at us again and again and again. And we said the last 3 docks to minimize conflict and, public safety. And why would we stir this pot again?
The pot was not being stirred, the question was merely asked for future reference.
Yeah, of course, and as soon as the engineer says, oh, I guess we could put more here, then we're gonna be back in that old controversy again.
No,
Yes.
okay, fine.
Any other comments?
I've commented enough.
We're adjourned.
I had a tourist ask me, he saw signs all through Newport